Bill's leg infections had maggots growing on them. Yes, maggots. He was delirious from the fall and is being admitted to the hospital for a few days. Sounds like a minor kidney injury or something. Mill has been discharged. She does not own a cell phone, and all of her belongings are back at the house, which I am not sure they can get in. My wife is on her way to get my Mill and bring her back to our house. I said no. My wife and I both work from home. We do have the room. My wife said she will sleep in the guest bedroom, which doubles as my wife's office. I feel like in a 14-year husband and wife relationship in a house that we own together, my feelings and opinions should be valid, and we should come to an agreement. My in-laws knew in 2023 they had to do something, and they didn't, and I do not want to be a shelter for that kind of behavior. AITA for telling my wife no, your Mill can't stay here. AITA for telling my Sil I got a boyfriend and not my brother. This is pretty short, but it's been making a mess in my relationships, so I thought I could ask. I, 19F, recently got a boyfriend for the first time. I was super excited and posted about it on my Insta close friends and to all my most active contacts in WhatsApp. This group of people includes some of my friends, some of my closer extended family, my parents, my brother, my sister and my two Sil. My other brother, 33M, is not included. TBH, I don't really talk much with him and we have very different values. We kind of have a difficult relationship. Obviously we love each other, but we don't really get along that well. I didn't purposefully exclude him, I just kind of forgot that he was even someone I should tell. He sent me a message today really angry about me not telling him and said that I was being a horrible sister. He also said that I was an even bigger asshole for telling his Sil and not him because they have been fighting a lot recently and it seems like I am taking her side. Most people are telling me to just ignore him, but my sister and some of my relatives feel like the dick move was telling my Sil about it if I wasn't going to tell him. AITA for leaving my best friend's dinner after she lied about her boyfriend being there. Hi, I'm new to this subreddit and need an impartial and honest opinion on a situation I'm dealing with involving my best friend. Let me provide some background so you can understand the full context. I've known my friend for almost 14 years. We met at a baby mama yoga class, hit it off right away, and our kids have been friends ever since. Over the years, my friend went through an affair, a divorce, and later got pregnant by the guy she had the affair with. They've been together since, but he has never fully committed to her, lives in a different city, and provides minimal financial or parental support for their child. When I first met him with my husband, we tried to be accepting and build a relationship with him. However, over time, my relationship with him has deteriorated because he treats her poorly, and it breaks my heart to see her go through all the pain he's causing her. She constantly complains about how unhappy she is in the relationship, but seems paralyzed and afraid to leave, even though she knows she is in a very unhealthy relationship. I don't really like him anymore and I've expressed these feelings to my friend over and over. I've told her that my husband and I wouldn't be going on any couple dates with them any longer because we didn't agree with the way he was treating her. Last week, my friend invited our family for Sunday dinner and asked us to bring appetizers and dessert. We were looking forward to spending time together. However, knowing that her boyfriend might be there, I asked her about it. She assured me he wouldn't be present. But when we arrived, he was standing outside on her porch. She had texted me earlier in the day saying he would be gone by the time we arrived, but then texted again when we were on our way saying he was still there. I told her we wouldn't come until he left and returned home. An hour later, her son texted my daughter saying he was gone and that we could come over. But when we got to her house, there he was. I texted her asking why she lied to me. She said it was a misunderstanding, not a lie. I told her I didn't want to interact with him and that it was better for us to leave. She said I was putting her in an uncomfortable position and that she had dropped hints all day that she didn't want him there. I reminded her that when she invited us, I made it clear I didn't want to see him. I told her maybe she should have invited us if he was going to be there. In the end, we left, upset about the whole situation. But I got even more frustrated when her son texted my daughter saying my friend was crying and that we were being immature. Since then she hasn't reached out. Her mom did to try to justify what had happened, but I still have not heard back from her since Sunday. So, am I the asshole here, or is she at fault for letting this situation become such a mess? Thanks for the feedback. AITA for being cautious in a strange relationship. I am AM22. My girlfriend is F25. We have been together for a little while now, 6 months and counting, but I have a few concerns so far. We met in a very weird way. I was bored one night and decided to hop on one of those talk to strangers websites just to mess with people. I don't do this often, only when I am bored. Sometimes I'll pose as a female and just troll the horny guys up there. Sounds ridiculous, I know, but I find it fun. Anyways, one of those people turned out to be an actual girl and I was shocked at first. This woman was talking about having a sexual relationship through text, me thinking it's a guy, decided to go with it, who knows? Maybe I could get a kick out of it, but then I started to see signs and she was sending pictures of herself. I was convinced it was a girl at that point, so I decided to keep the conversation going. One thing led to another and then a simple role play turned into something deeper. We started to talk and get to know each other and then eventually we became a couple. I am already a very closed-off person, always cool with everyone, but definitely to myself most of the time. I'll admit I was suspicious of her, but my curiosity got the best of me and I decided to ask her if she wanted something more. She said yes of course, and then we started becoming a couple. Mind you, this is a long-distance relationship. She lives far away from me and we strictly only communicate through text. Here's where the problems come in. I have FaceTimed this girl a few times, watched movies with her and done some other stuff. However, she never shows her face. She won't even show her face one time or even talk to me for that matter. Have never heard her voice, so the thing is okay, maybe she's nervous? Maybe she's super shy? IDK. I have helped her out financially a good amount, bought her stuff and provided for her as much as I can. AITA for being suspicious of her? She claims that she loves me and I'll admit I love her too. But there's always that thought in my head that maybe I am being taken advantage of. She's talking about wanting a few more years with me and I don't know if I should accept it. If we are going to keep this same strange relationship, is it really worth it? I would love some advice from you guys if you don't mind. Should I keep going in this relationship and see what happens? Or is this a huge red flag? AITA for telling my sister she should have given us a Santa today while I, 25M, was still at work. My fiance, 25F, texted me that she just got home from work, and someone had plugged in a blow-up, lighted Santa Christmas decoration next our front porch. I texted my family group chat asking if anyone had done it. My parents, sister, 31F, and Bill, 30M, all answered no. Fiance went across the street to ask if the neighbors had seen anything, and the neighbor said that they saw my Bill's car. We knew it was his because it's a distinct car, pulled into the driveway and left a few minutes later. I texted sister and Bill saying that we knew it was them, and that we didn't appreciate or enjoy it. I said that it scared my fiance, and that nobody wants to see that someone plugged something into your house while no one was home without your knowledge. Especially when fiance and I are in a very obvious routine with work, where I am gone significantly longer than she is. It would have been easy for anyone to know that she was home alone, especially if she had moved, unplugged the Santa. They both made it clear to me that they didn't want anyone at their house while no one was home without their knowledge, and I thought the same courtesy extended to us. They both called me, blowing up, asking if I was serious. Their excuse was that their 2-year-old thought it was funny, so they decided to do something fun for him and put it up at our house. After that, they went back to yelling, so I told them I'd talk to them later, and hung up. She then texted me saying we thought it was funny but clearly you're both too scared. We won't do anything else fun with you. I then asked when they were free to sit down and talk this out like adults. I got no response. I can see how fiance and IWBTA, on paper it's a harmless thing to do. I just don't understand their thought process. My kid thinks this is funny, let's go put it up at someone else's house. My goal was to let them know that we didn't think it was okay, and to establish a boundary. AITA for going strike from housework, when my sister at home all day, 29F, still live with my family. I am saving for a new car and apartment to rent, so I am staying with my family including my older, 32, and younger, 21, sisters. I work part-time in a club and have inconsistent shift. Sometimes I am opening or closing or doing a mid-shift or events. But both my sisters are not working. One has social anxiety and hard for her to work retail and the other still looking, so they're at home all the time. Lately I have been doing most of the housework and they don't do anything. Both my parents still work and they know I am doing mostly everything, and so when my sisters ask, call me from work, what is for dinner? And I am getting sick and tired of it. I told them I don't want to do anything after work because during the Christmas time I have longer shift and more and I get tired. One night when I come home around 10ish, after a tech company Christmas party, they told me they will make a roast for the family before I left, but when I got home it was nothing. They ate all of the leftovers. I went to be hungry. I told my parents about this and they agreed with me, and I told my sisters I am going on strike and will not be doing anything. My little sister complained I too don't do anything, but she stayed in her room all day. I sometimes don't see her all day because she is in her room, including my older sister, both of them on their laptops watching videos. So whenever they ask me what's for dinner, I will give them our family easy dinner. Tuna with cooked rice and salad, or pizza. Both my sisters hate tuna but will eat it if there is nothing else. Soon they're complaining about me now. Am I the asshole? Edit. I work in the hospitality industry, and lately where I am living there are either casual or part-time work, and taking part-time is better. Plus my parents do talk to my sisters and they have reprimanded them about me doing everything. I tried to not be lazy, but on my days off I do my housework but end up doing theirs. My rent on my old apartment went up and I can't afford it anymore, and my car has recurring issues. I do not feel ashamed about living with my parents, they helped me get the job I am in. AITA for telling my sister I can only spend so much on our siblings. For context, my older sister, 28F, and I, 25F, have been supporting my mom financially since our younger half-siblings were born, 13F, 14M. My mom has held steady seasonal employment over the last few years, which is great, but due to no financial help from her partner, she takes on all of the bills. My older sister and I have essentially taken on Christmas shopping the last 10+ years because my mom can't afford to. Last year, I had spent $5 minus $600 on the kids alone, while I had other people to shop for as well. I live alone about an hour away from my older sister, who is very close with my mom. I am already seen as the isolated sibling because I am constantly missing out on the kids' sports games, school events, etc., but it's worth it to me because I have severe trauma and anxiety I am working through, which links back to my family. I also work 2 jobs and honestly don't have a lot of free time to visit a lot. There's definitely a bias towards me because I am so independent. My sister texted me and mentioned that her and my mom had done a lot of shopping already, but asked me if I'd be getting my own gifts or wanted to just send her my money and we can do something together. I told her I didn't have time this year to get my own gifts, but that I could contribute $100 since I am on a low budget and want to prioritize my debt, school loans. She was immediately passive-aggressive and wrote that I'd better not be buying my boyfriend something over $100 then. After I told her that was rude and pretty unfair to say, we got into a huge argument. She said family is way more important than friends or boyfriends, and I'd be silly to not prioritize my family over anyone else. I just felt like I was being guilt-tripped the entire time. She then told me that she's not getting any of her friends' gifts, her friends live overseas, so I guess that makes sense. She said I am always going to concerts, but then I am broke around Christmas. I told her I buy my concert tickets early in the year. I also only go to small artists and the tickets are under $30, and that I am not broke, I just have a budget I am sticking to and would like to prioritize my debt. At the end, I was honestly just so fed up with the back and forth and her trying to make me feel bad and make me justify my spending that I told her I wasn't coming down for Christmas. I also told my mom that I'd send my money directly to the kids, I have their info to do so, but that I wouldn't be part of Christmas this year. I feel like that was an impulsive choice on my end, but it's something I've wanted to do for years, and I guess the argument with my older sister pushed me to that point. AITA here, could I have gone about this differently? AITA for telling my boyfriend to stop smoking inside after previously allowing him to do so. I, 25, moved together with my boyfriend, 27, after dating for over a year. He has been a smoker for many years already, and he was smoking in his own apartment that he had when I met him already, and I must say it has never been a problem for me, and I always accepted that because I viewed it as part of his identity and didn't want him to feel like he has to change in his own 4 walls. While planning to move together, he obviously asked me if he could continue smoking inside. After doing it for years, he just couldn't imagine something else, and due to my love for him I allowed him to continue smoking inside. Because of this, we picked an apartment without balcony since he wouldn't need it and it was much cheaper. Now after a few weeks I'm started to regret my decision. It's such a difference permanently living in a smoker household than just visiting one a few times a week for a few hours. During those visits it really never bothered me, but now it's suddenly starting to bother me. Even though I'm a non-smoker, the health aspect isn't what bothers me the most, it's more about the smell that my clothes and pretty much everything I own has now. I definitely underestimated the situation. Previously when visiting him it were just a few clothes of mine that had the smell of cigarettes, but it faded after a few hours or days when I got home. I told him about my feelings and asked him if he may smoke outside or at a window from now on, but he got mad and said no, since I previously allowed him to smoke inside, and that was what we agreed on when choosing this apartment. I understand his point of view, but I wish he also understood mine. I love him and I don't want such a basic topic tear us apart. AITA. My sister stole my Xmas gift in 2016. Buckle up. My mom bought me a Dremel kit in 2016 for Xmas. I appreciated the gift but wasn't going to be able to use it, but had something else in mind. My sister said she could return it because she had the receipt and would give me the money. I said fine, and she took it Xmas Day. Then, she never tried to contact me about the refund. I reached out to her and she said she hadn't done it yet. Then time went by, and every couple of months or so I'd reach out and ask her what the story was. She transitioned into saying she couldn't return it since it was past the window. I then asked her to return it repeatedly every month or two for the next year or so. She then says she lost it and that I should just accept that it's lost. I said, no, you need to pay me for the Dremel if you lost it. I've asked you for 2 years. She refuses. I don't particularly let it go, but every couple of months I'd reach out and tell her I expect her to replace the gift or go find it. She then accuses me of harassment because I won't let it go. She then confesses she took my gift, gave it to her friend, and repeatedly lied about it for 2+ years. Completely and disingenuously gaslighting me and making harassment accusations to get me off her back for the gift she stole. Her position was that it had been years now, that I need to get over it. She refused to reimburse me. It was made clear to her that I wanted the value of the gift, or it back if it couldn't be returned. I told her no, I'm not going to get over it, that her behavior was disgusting and heinous given the total context. That she's harmed me on emotional level, and that she needs to make amends by buying me a Dremel, or giving me its value. She refuses to this day. Every year or two we argue about it when friends bring it up to her how fucked up it was. Her response is to tell me how ridiculous it is that I won't move from my position, that she owes it to me. My take is she's fucking nuts to think that. Even the idea that the person who was wronged is more absurd to be implacable in their position than the person who did the crime. She's acting as if she's the reasonable one and that it's unreasonable that I won't accept her theft. She goes nuts and makes declarations that if I can't get over it, maybe she shouldn't have a relationship with me. She pretends to play the victim as if she's being abused because I demand she amend her character flaw and repay me in this instance. I'm like, okay. Yay, you can cut your relationship off with me because you're an abusive thief, or you could just buy me a fucking Dremel. You could do that too. It doesn't live rent-free in my head. I don't care on a day-to-day basis. I hang out with her and we have a fairly decent relationship in adulthood. But yay, around Xmas time, especially if she reaches out to me because people are giving her shit about it, I tell her my position hasn't changed and that she's fucked up. My parents think her behavior is so fucked. AITA for not letting it go? AITA for reporting my son's bully to his school even though he didn't want me to. My 40F son, 10M, J, has had an on and off bully, A, at school for a few years now. Anyone can tell that A doesn't have a good home life. A likes to do things like loudly make fun of J's oral reading so kids will laugh at him and gossip, start rumors, etc. He has never physically bullied him, yet. Jay has Caucasian genes even though we're a mixed family and has been raised very anti-racist. Yesterday Jay was very upset after school and eventually told me, I lost a friend today. He told me I had told his buddy, W, that Jay called him the N-word behind his back. I usually believe in letting kids handle their own social situations, but I pretty much hate this kid, A, after all this time. I went into full mama bear mode, which is actually out of character, and said I was calling the school. My son was crying and pleading that I didn't as it would be embarrassing, so to calm him down I told him I wouldn't. As soon as I was out of the room I emailed the school anyway, who I heard back from this morning. I also messaged W's mom. It sounds like the school has already taken some action, so my son will know I said something and I'm sure I'll get an earful tonight. My husband, 39M, was less supportive than I expected. He doesn't like to get involved with this kind of stuff but had bullies in middle school himself, so I feel that's hypocritical. AITA for overstepping? Could simply use advice of parents who have navigated this situation. AITA for not buying Christmas presents for my grandparents after they uninvited me from their Christmas party? So every year my grandparents like to throw a small Christmas party with our immediate family around this time. A few weeks before the party I, 18F, told my parents that I was an atheist and that I prefer to keep this between us since my grandparents are heavily religious and I don't want there to be any unneeded tension during the holidays. Somehow this still got around to my grandparents and I received a text from my grandmother the day before the party saying she'd prefer if I would stay home since our religious beliefs don't align. She was respectful about it, but I was deeply hurt since I love attending these parties and spending time with them, and they both know Christmas is my favorite holiday. My mom sided with my grandma and I ended up staying that night in my college dorm while they went to the party. Tonight, while I was putting gifts under the tree, my mom asked me if I had bought a gift for my grandparents. I told her I hadn't and wasn't planning to boycott of what happened with the party. She said that regardless of how they feel about my religion, I should get them a gift anyway to be nice. Normally I would agree, but I was so bitter about being uninvited that I wasn't going to. I love my grandparents, but they dampened my entire holiday by doing this. Am I being an asshole? WIBTA if I exclude a lonely acquaintance from the DND group, I am a DM for a group 30-something gay guys that meets regularly. One of the people in the group is my bestie. He and I have known each other for a while and so our friend group overlaps a lot. Lately he's been asking me to invite one of his friends to our DND group. The thing is that friend and I don't really vibe together and we have different public energy. I have met this friend before and I don't really like the way he acts towards other people. The first time he was invited to KBBQ where apparently he hated the idea of cooking for himself and berated the server in front of the whole restaurant saying, "My own mother would never make me cook for myself." I tipped the server 100% and apologized. Another time we were out in a gay bar where he tried to subtly berate the other patrons, look to their face, like he's from Mean Girls or something. Needless to say, I don't really want to spend much time with this guy unless I have to. Recently though, my bestie said this acquaintance has been extremely lonely, after breaking up with his long-term boyfriend and subsequently 2 more boyfriends within a year. Bestie said he's worried about his mental health because he hasn't gone out with people in a while. So I checked out his socials. While I'm no therapist, I would say yeah, his life is spiraling out of control and I think he may even started a drug habit. So Bestie wants to bring him in our DND group. So here's the conflict. While I do want this guy to find care for his current state, I don't really want him in the DND group, given how he has acted in the past. Also, I don't know if he'd actually enjoy DND anyways. But it feels kinda assholish to exclude someone who is suffering a mental breakdown, potentially making him feel even worse. Will I be the asshole if I say no, he's not invited to the group? AITA for telling my coworker to stop bringing up her pregnancy loss. I have this coworker who I've worked with for almost 4 years. In general, she is not a great coworker because she does not always pull her fair share of the weight, and tends to be dramatic with a victim mentality. She has personal issues with eating disorders, and is generally unhealthy according to what she shares with our team. She is also the type of person to make a big show out of everything she does, even the most mundane things. Like she puts on the office Christmas party and has to make tons of posts about every little detail. None of us care. Since we have worked together, she has unfortunately suffered through multiple, 5, I think, miscarriages. Obviously that is heartbreaking, and I would never wish that on anyone. However, I can't help but feel annoyed by her behavior when this happens. Each time, as soon as she finds out she's pregnant around 6 weeks, she makes a big announcement to the office and talks about her due date, all of the details, and spends a great deal of time with our manager trying to coordinate all of her 40 weeks worth of appointments. She also has really severe morning sickness which she will announce to the whole office multiple times per day, each time she gets ill, and pretty consistently leaves a mess in the bathroom. Each time she has miscarried, she makes a large announcement as well, and takes off work for several weeks for recovery. Of course we all feel terribly for her, but I can't help but wonder why she makes such a big deal out of it so early each time if she knows that she has this traumatic history with pregnancy. It's honestly becoming a distraction at work, and as much as I would normally be empathetic, I find it difficult to go through this roller coaster of emotions with her each time it comes up. I think I feel this way because it's a heavy emotional load at work, where I normally try to separate personal feelings as much as possible. Does this make me an asshole? AITA if I don't have my meal, watch my kids. AITA if I don't have my meal, watch my kids. So, I don't know where to start. I am scheduled for surgery in the next couple of weeks. My meal was supposed to watch the kids while I was down and out, but she now has people staying with her that were not originally going to be there. One of these is a child that has been through a lot of trauma in the past couple years. We love that child, but the family is not getting them the help they need. The last time that child and one of my children were together, they got into some trouble that ended up with a 6+ hour visit and huge medical bill. I informed my mill that we were not comfortable with our children being there while that child was there without us, and she got pissed and hung up on us. I'm keeping things as vague as I can, while hopefully still getting my point across. So, AITA for not wanting my kids there? AITA for telling my sister to get an Uber from the airport after an international flight. My sister is coming to visit for Christmas. She lives in another country that is 20+ hours away. This was a last-minute decision she made and called me a week before she is leaving asking me to pick her up from the airport. The airport she chose to fly into is the furthest from our house. There are 3 other closer airports, 1.5 hours drive, 2 states over, and she didn't ask what airport was best or what time would work. She is flying in on a Monday morning, and if I were to pick her up I would have to take the morning off work and either bring the kids along, small kids under 7, or have someone watch them. Side note, she is also visiting her new boyfriend in another part of the country and added us into her trip after she made plans. I asked if she would take an Uber, but she got mad for suggestions this. AITA for flipping out at my parents for their constant behavior regarding my lifestyle. So quick little intro. I am 24 years old and I fall under the goth subculture. I listen to the music, I dress up in the fashion, I love the literature and media, and I decorate my room with all things McBray. Despite being 24, I still live with my parents, but I pay rent and everything I own besides my bed, same bed I've had since I was 12. I am also adopted with my sister, and these are my adoptive parents. My parents don't make it a secret they don't like my choice in fashion, the music they don't dislike, but every time I dress up in my gothic clothing, graphic tees, like the type from Killstar, skinny black jeans, boots, jewelry, makeup, the works, etc., they make either disgusted, mocking facial expressions or make offhanded comments like, "You're really going dressed up like that?" Cue facial expression. Or, "You can't seriously think that's okay." These particular comments I was usually able to ignore, but recently my parents have gotten round to being a lot more harsh with them, my dad going as far as calling me a pillock, saying I look like a dickhead, and literally making threats like, "If you go out wearing that I am going to block the internet usage to your computer for a week," basically stopping me from being able to wear what I want out in public. My mom has been making comments saying that I am the only person that dresses like that and I should dress like it because she never sees anyone else dress like it, and that I either look like a weirdo or a freak or I look really intimidating to people. Might be linked to my height. I am 6'1". The other day I had just come back from going out to solo watch a movie. I was feeling good about myself, so had done a new makeup style with my outfit and thought I looked really good, and came back home to have dinner, and of course as soon as I sit down cue the slew of comments and disgusted facial expressions. "Do you really think it's okay to go out like that? You can't be serious. Are you okay in the head?" It was as this time I had enough. I exploded at them and basically got into a huge heated argument and voices were raised. I basically explained to them that I am an adult and what I wear and when is my choice, and they have no say in the matter, parents or not, and I was tired of their constant remarks and unnecessary facial expressions at how I express myself. My dad then said, "I don't care if you're an adult, you live under our house, under our rules, and you wear what we think is appropriate." I then shouted back at him then maybe he shouldn't have adopted me, which then caused my mom to start crying, and I stormed out of the kitchen to my room. I kinda feel like I acted over the top. AITA for not getting my mom the gift she wanted. My mom regifted me the gift we got her for her birthday 3 weeks ago. I graduated college a few months ago, but my graduation ceremony isn't until a month from now. For 6 months my mom has been saying she'll get me something for the graduation. For us it's tradition that the gift is gold. Eventually at some point she gave me a jewelry set she meant to gift to someone else while I was helping cleaning out her closet, and said, "Consider this your graduation gift from me." I didn't complain, it was pretty, and plus she said she would actually buy me a gift with my dad. I don't care how much it costs, I just want any thought to be put into it. I'd rather no gift than a regift even. Eventually her birthday comes up and I ask her what she wants. She says she wants the same necklace my aunt gifted me for my graduation. A week later my dad suddenly lets us know we'll be going to a cabin Airbnb for a few days, and her birthday is the last day we'll be there. So I rush looking for something similar to the necklace I have, gold and with traditional pendant and small pearls. I never went to the store I know had the necklace I have, since I thought I had time to go there at the end. Anyway, I didn't have time, and I had to buy her the nicest thing in the store I was in, a small diamond necklace. I have to mention my dad paid, since technically the gift is from the entire family. I am the eldest daughter and an unpaid intern. I can't afford anything separate. When I gave her it, it was clear she didn't really like it because it was so small. She asks what happened to the gift she asked for. It's around the same price, and I lied saying it was sold out. 3 weeks later, she regifts the necklace to me and says, consider this the gift from your dad. My dad would never actually go out and buy me the gift. My mom was always going to pick it out since he can't pick anything out himself. So she just says, "I'll let your dad know he got you your graduation gift." Come to learn, she bought herself the necklace she wanted in the first place, and that's why this happened. Am I the asshole for lying and not getting her the gift she wanted? AITA for not picking up my mom's call. I, 18F, am a final year high schooler. For context, the summer holidays began in November. For the past 3 weeks, I had been attending a university summer course. The graduation and final day of the course was last Friday, and this was when it happened. I wait tables at a restaurant where my mother is the manager. My mom has a habit where she sometimes chooses not to schedule anyone onto the work roster and call me in once the shifts begins because there's not enough staff. I gave her a heads up 2 weeks prior to graduation Friday, and a reminder when she made the roster. Both she agreed. However, there were no one scheduled for work on Friday. Thursday comes around, and I reminded her of upcoming graduation. She reassured me that she won't call me into work. On Friday morning, I went into university for graduation, and then for a beach walk with other graduated friends until about 5 p.m. Almost as soon as the clock struck 5, I was checking my phone for the bus route home when my mom called. I decided to let it ring out since I had already alerted her several times of my unavailability and did not feel like answering her call to pick up a shift that I had specifically told her I will not, and went on my merry way home. Woke up Saturday morning to my mom giving me the silent treatment and side eye. I looked at her during breakfast, just to gauge her reaction, and she started yelling at me. "I'm so sick of you look at me that way. Why did you not answer my call? Don't you know I needed you? You're so ungrateful for the opportunities I keep providing you." So I replied with, "The one time I refused to be called into work because of your lack of preparation, which I had warned you many times about, you're gonna get mad at me because I refused to give up my time to help you out. Don't you think that you constantly taking advantage of my time is why I didn't want to answer your call? Do you think this is how you make your employees want to go to work?" This of course made her get even more mad, and started telling me that, "Fine, you don't want to work, well me neither. We will just both not work. We'll let your younger siblings, 12F and 8M, starve at your hands," before storming out of the kitchen and locking herself in her room. It's been a few days since the big argument, and she's no longer mad at me, however still not talking much, and still feeding my sibs. I know I could have very well answered her call that day and this wouldn't have happened. However, I felt that given that I had given her plenty of notices and she still chose to try and force my hand into answering her work call, my other coworkers were very much available, was unfair on me, just as blaming that my siblings will starve at my hands. As much as I love my siblings, I think that they come first as my parents' children, before they are my younger siblings and therefore my responsibility. AITA for not picking up my mom's phone call. AITA mom's boyfriend never cleans up after himself. Alright, so to give some context on this, my mother is dating a 40-something-year-old man baby. He never cleans up after himself. And it's extremely annoying. This is what happened tonight. I walk into the kitchen, wash my dish, wash my fork, and my mom's BF comes and sits his plate right next to the sink. And I said, Not even gonna wash off our plate?" And he said, "You're using the sink." So I walk into the living room after putting my dishes on the drying rack and I say to my mother that I wasn't gonna wash his plate off for him, and my mom goes, "Yeah, well now we're gonna do all of the dishes." So I say that I always do my dishes right after using them and that I am not doing a grown man's dishes. And this really set her off. Which is understandable because I wouldn't have said that now. But she goes, "He's working." Just to put it into perspective, he sits in a computer chair all day and smokes pot. He also told my mother that she did not have to work because he would bring in money. Which he does not do. At least not a steady flow of it. After all of this I am trying to get out of the conversation and she brings up how much she does for me. Talking about how she bought me non-slip shoes for my new job and how she does all of these things for me, but it was never about her in the first place. So of course as a teenage girl, 17, I snap back and say, "Yeah, the job I got that'll bring in a more steady flow of money than your boyfriend does," and I walked away into my room. Of course he'll do the dishes. Since he can't stop smoking pot or sitting down cause it's too tiring to get up and do 20 minutes worth of dishes. I am so tired of taking care of this man like he's 5, he's 40 something and needs to learn how to clean up after himself. I am extremely tired of wiping up his coffee spills, sweeping the grounds off of the floor, and cleaning up after him in general. AITA for calling my friend a stalker. I, 17F, have a friend, 18M, that I've known since 7th grade. We're really close and hang out a lot together. Nothing has ever been weird or ambiguous between us. Last week I went to his house for a group project, nothing out of the ordinary. At one point, while I was working on my iPad, he took a break and went on his phone. He had just redid the aesthetic of his home screen and was proud of it, so he showed me. However, I noticed he didn't show me the last page, so I asked about it. He said it was nothing, that it wasn't fully done yet. I swiped it myself, thinking he was being hesitant for no reason, and found a whole page full of widgets of pictures of me. Mind you, they were pictures he took without my knowledge the last time I visited his house. I felt uncomfortable, but then he tried to brush it off as something funny and go back to work. I didn't think it was funny at all, tbh, so I took his phone and opened his gallery to check. The whole thing was filled with pictures of me, like he took one every single time I was looking away. It felt creepy and almost stalker-ish. I called him out for being creepy and he said it was just cause I'm really pretty and it was the only way for him to have pictures of me since I always refused to take selfies. I am pretty insecure about my face in pictures, that's why. I insisted that it was weird and I didn't want him to do that again, but he replied that I was exaggerating. I called him a stalker, which really pissed him off. He said it was not stalking at all since I knew he was there whenever he took the photos. I didn't want to argue, so we just finished the work in silence and I went back home. We haven't talked since, like we're both waiting for the other to apologize first. AITA here? Should I apologize for calling him a stalker? AITA for refusing to go living with my parents? I made this account just to ask others' opinion. So I am, 18F, I was living with my mom, 39F, and stepdad, 32 to 33M. But a few days ago something happened between me and my stepdad. I was getting ready to go to school. I dressed up and everything and was going to do my makeup and then leave. He came to my room saying, "Let's go, I won't leave you here at home." I said okay, wait 2 minutes then we can go, but he became aggressive. I can't really say what happened. I read the rules and don't want this post to be removed. But what happened, he ended filming me crying and screaming at him saying he'll call the police on him and another hurtful, so he left and called TBE police on me for some reason. IDK if they came or not because I left for school and just stayed there. When school ended, me and my boyfriend went to my house to grab some stuff and then went to my grandma's house. I've been looking for an apartment ever since. Yes, I have a job that could pay for it but would live paycheck to paycheck. But my stepdad twisted the whole story, so now my mom keeps saying AITA my flout for saying hurtful things, and she said that I explained my story seemed like he inappropriate touched me. Even though I never said that, but I am at flout for saying hurtful things to him and he's hurt. And I said okay, but he said I am not welcome to that house and I don't live there anymore, so I am moving out permanently. She said no, I am not allowed, doesn't matter if I am 18, I'll live by her rules because I don't have a choice. I do though, and I can legally leave. But she keeps using manipulation on me and I feel hurt and thinking maybe it's my flout or in overreacting. IDK what to do? I wanna leave because don't feel safe, but she keeps explaining that it's my flout for leaving and him saying I don't live there. I am really at a lose because IDK if I am making a good decision. So I am asking for people's opinion. Am I the AITA? WIBTA if I refuse to pay my share of the Wi-Fi bill. I live in an apartment with 4 other guys. Our apartment comes with Wi-Fi, but it had been spotty for all of us. So about 2 months ago we agreed to get Wi-Fi and my roommate ordered Verizon, which supposedly covered our area. After 2 weeks of waiting the router finally came and we plugged it in expecting the 1 gig speed we had been promised, only to see 10 Mbps. This speed is barely useful for one person's, let alone 5 people each with multiple devices. My roommate called Verizon for help with troubleshooting. He spent probably 2 hours resetting the router, moving the router throughout the house, and letting the Verizon guy perform whatever tests he needed to on his end. This ended in the tech support saying we will perform maintenance on the tower near you guys. You should see faster speeds in a few days and telling us we won't be charged. Meanwhile, after a few days I noticed that I can no longer connect to our home Wi-Fi when I am in my room, but it works everywhere else in the house. I asked my roommate, who moved the Verizon router into his room, to unplug it until a few days have passed, but he doesn't. Fast forward another week and I've either been mostly working from my living room since the Verizon Wi-Fi barely works and my room no longer has Wi-Fi service, or using data. We're getting the same speed from Verizon with no noticeable difference. I tell my roommate we must be in some kind of dead zone with Verizon and to unplug the router and call them asking to return the router. He calls again and spends another 3 hours on the phone, which results in him learning that we could only get a maximum speed for 300 mbps, and they're willing to send a technician free of charge to come look at it. They again promise we will not be charged since the Wi-Fi hasn't been working for us. I tell him to unplug it since it wasn't working for us. That was last week. Fast forward again to today, where I learned he was initially charged $160 for the past month. He calls Verizon again to dispute it, but they say since he left it plugged in and some devices were connected to it, they can't charge him $0. He is however able to get it reduced to $29. I acknowledge that $29 split across 5 ways comes out to $6, so price isn't the issue. My problem with paying my share is I haven't used the Verizon Wi-Fi at all. I've either been in the living room or using data in my room. I've asked my roommate multiple times to keep the Verizon router unplugged. And Verizon promised 2 different times we wouldn't be charged since we are getting 10 mbps. TLDR, I don't want to pay my share of $6 out of principle because we were promised we wouldn't be charged and the Wi-Fi we ordered hasn't worked for the past month. WIBTA if I refused to pay? AITA for ignoring my friends at university. Hi, I, F20, am in university. I have a couple friends from high school with me in the same university, and in my first year I have met a group of people whom became a part of my friend group. Now the issue started when I met their friend. He isn't in our university, and we started dating. To make it easy, I have 4 guy friends, 2 female friends from high school, and 3 female friends from university. The guys introduced them to us when we became friends. Now after I started dating my boyfriend, the girls started talking shit behind my back, that I am stupid and he is no good. He is the absolute best and the sweetest, but he doesn't like them. They started acting very B***CHY towards me and my other 2 female friends. So after the second year of university ended, I started being very formal with them. I would say hi and stuff but won't directly talk to them. After a bit in my 3rd year, it was one of the girls' birthday. Usually what they would do is make a group on WhatsApp to invite everyone, but this time she started inviting people in front of me and my friends and ignored us. After that I went to do something, she invited my friends and didn't invite me, then made a group on WhatsApp. Mind you, this girl I was fine with. I was never rude to her and I was nicer to her than my friends. So I decided that if someone could be this rude, I will be ruder, so I stopped greeting them when I see them. If my friends went up to them and said hi, I would stay far away. The main problem happened 3 weeks ago. There was a group of people on a table. I knew none of them except the girl, so when my friends went to her to say hi, I stayed back. She started yelling hi, my name. I said hello in a normal tone. She started flipping, put like it okay to say hello, and I looked at her confused like okay. Then one of my guy friends started talking shit about me after it because I was rude and started lying to people. My boyfriend confronted him. They're best friends since high school, and my other guy friends started lecturing me on how I should be the bigger person. These so-called friends YSED to text me only when they wanted a homework or help studying. In the summer I took online courses, so I didn't see them in university. They never texted me once for almost 6 months. 2 being a summer semester and 4 vacation between the semesters. So after that I was like, I don't need this in my life, and I stopped sitting with them in university because if I am making everyone uncomfortable I am not staying, and I stopped answering their texts about homeworks and exams. They are mad at AITA? WIBTA if I told my uncle, who raised me since I was a baby, that I wanted to leave after college. I, 20F, am currently living with my uncle, 38M, who's raised me since I was a baby and supported me for years ever since my mom left the picture. I'm very grateful for the stuff he's done, and he's practically the one who raised me throughout my entire life. As a kid, I've always been told that if I get rich from my job, I should be able to support him. Well, not exactly what he said, but I get the idea that that's what he was trying to say. I always thought that it was just a fun little banter. But now that I'm older, the comments start to get a little bit uncomfortable. He often asks how many years I have left in college, then starts to joke around whenever he realizes I have 3 years left, because he still has to wait for 3 years until I get a job so he can resign. It came across as unnerving to me, and it makes me really uncomfortable because I have to give back to him. It's not like I don't want to, but it feels more like an obligation rather than just something I can do if I really wanted to, if that makes sense. Since I started my sophomore year, I had a plan so that I won't be clueless as soon as I finish college. I've been starting to save up to afford a place in my dream city in the country. Half of those savings were something I can bounce back on in case I couldn't find a job as soon as I moved in, while half of those were for spending on utilities. My boyfriend is also planning to live with me after college, so we can split on the bills as well to make it easier for me. I planned that once I found a decent enough job, I could continue to go to med school. Then, I'll be able to give a portion of that salary to my uncle to help him out. It's not a very well thought plan, but at least the idea is there. When I brought this up to my uncle, he didn't seem to be pleased. He said that I only ever decided to go to leave because other people are also leaving, which isn't true because I've been wanting to live in that city since I've been in high school and even before I met my boyfriend. I reasoned that I can just hire a helper for him since I won't be around anymore and I'll eventually have my own family to take care of. I got the idea that he didn't want me to leave, and it made me uncomfortable. It's not like I hated staying with my uncle. There are just some times that I don't like it. I just didn't like the fact that I couldn't bring people over and also the fact that I mostly have to clean up after him. I'm planning on bringing this up again on my final year, but I'm starting to feel bad just thinking about it because I genuinely want to leave and live a life for myself. But at the same time, I feel guilty because I'm expected to give back to my uncle for raising me and I know he's expecting me to stay with him until he probably dies or something. I'm not opposed to helping him out, I just don't want to stay. Any suggestions on how I could approach this matter would be appreciated as well. AITA for breaking it off with the woman I was seeing because she accused me of trying to kill her dog. Apologies in advance for the length. I am not really an animal person unless you count whales and red pandas. I didn't grow up with animals because most of my family are allergic and or fear them. I don't have friends who have animals and in general, I am never around them unless it's in passing. That said, animals are like children to me. I don't want them, but I would never harm one or allow anyone to harm them. This is something that everyone in my life knows about me. Sunny, obvious alias, and I had been dating for about 5 months and it was going pretty well. Early on she told me she'd grown up with dogs but hadn't had one in a while. In October, enter Curly, alias, a 2-year Labradoodle. His breed is mostly hypoallergenic, but I have bad allergies and I had some issues that required that I have my biweekly allergy shots adjusted so I could be around him. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, Sunny asked me to dog sit because she had to go on a last-minute business trip. She couldn't find anyone else, and she trusted me because in her words, "You're good with him." I agreed to sit with Curly on the condition that I stay at her place. Curly is a handful in general and a cannonball when he is in new places, so complete transparency. I wanted to stay at her place because I didn't want him tearing up my shit. Instead of saying that, I told her that keeping him in a familiar place and maintaining his routine was the better idea. She agreed. It should be noted that Sunny primarily works from home and this trip would be the first time she would be away from Curly. She left that Monday and I arrived after work to find shit on the loveseat, the couch pillows torn apart with cotton everywhere. He was jumping on me and everything in the house and barking nonstop. The rest of the night was hell. When I talked to Sunny, she said it was likely separation anxiety. I can work from home. I hate it, but I agreed to work from her place to help ease Curly's separation anxiety. The next day was rough, but the following day was better, and things got easier once I learned his patterns, what agitates him, to some degree, and understood that he could not be left alone for too long because he needed constant attention. Sunny was supposed to be home that Friday, but she missed her flight and eventually, there were no more flights until Saturday. This reset my plans because my parents were flying in that Saturday. I hadn't been to my place since Tuesday and my house needed to be cleaned, and I needed groceries, toiletries, etc. for my parents who are in their mid-70s by the way. Since she drove to the airport, she agreed to pick up my parents to save time. She would have to wait an hour, as a thank you, sorry, and so I didn't have to leave Curly. I agreed even though it would be the first time she would be meeting my parents. They know who she is but hadn't met her yet. To prevent me from running around too much on Saturday, I ordered necessities and groceries to be delivered and did the same for her so she would have one less thing to worry about when she got home. I put everything away and put a few bags of my things on the table by the front door so I wouldn't forget them. I frequently put stuff on that very table whenever I stayed over so I wouldn't forget. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. Saturday to take Curly on his morning walk, but when I found him, he was panting and whimpering and there was vomit nearby. I panicked and called Sunny 2 or 3 times, but she didn't pick up. It was 3:30 a.m. her time. I then called the number of an emergency vet that she'd left. They asked me if I'd eaten anything unusual. That's when I noticed that had gotten into the bags on the table by the front door and had eaten a good amount of the dried fruits from one of the bags, which he likely got into after I went to bed. I was told to bring him in immediately because the dried fruit contained raisins. Driving to the vet, I was genuinely scared for him. Once I handed him over, I called Sunny again, who finally picked up, and she was livid. I have never ever been cursed out like that. She said that I poisoned Curly on purpose because I never wanted her to have a dog, so this was my way of getting rid of him. She knew she couldn't trust me, and I should be prosecuted for trying to kill her dog. Yes, she used the words prosecuted and kill. I apologized over and over and tried to explain, but she wouldn't stop screaming, not an exaggeration, so I hung up. She called me back yelling this time. I asked if she could stop yelling so we could talk, she continued, so I hung up again. Eventually, I stopped answering, and the texts that came were the length of the phone screen or longer. In one of the last texts I read in full, she said my parents must be shit at parenting to raise someone who could do what I did, and that I needed to find someone else to pick them up because her conscience wouldn't let her do it. I texted her that I would stay with Curly until she got home and not to worry about my parents because I would get them an Uber to my place, they have keys. More texts, many I didn't read, but apparently, my silence confirmed her assessment of me. Fortunately, Curly wasn't that bad off as he was released within a few hours. When I got back to her place, Sunny's cousin was there waiting because Sunny had texted her. She immediately took Curly and told me to get out. As I was getting my things, she had to provide commentary. How could I not know what could kill a dog since I was dating someone with a dog? I should be reported for endangering an animal. She'd hate to see me around kids. And so on. I didn't even counter her because I was done. I texted Sunny telling her about the vet's instructions, followed by a text telling her it was over. I then blocked her and deleted her info. Fast forward to yesterday. I came home to Sunny parked in my driveway. She wants to talk. She first started by saying I owed her for Curly's vet bill. It was meant to be a joke, but I didn't catch it and asked how much so I could Venmo her. She laughed and said she was joking, which I think was genuine. She was sorry for how she reacted. She was really scared, and she took it out on me. She didn't think I was a bad person, and she was sorry for everything she said. She didn't think I would go no contact, and she felt that was unfair. She thought we at least should have a conversation to see if things could be fixed. Her apologies seemed genuine and we were able to talk civilly for a while, but, in the end, I felt like a line was crossed. The opinions among my friends are somewhat mixed. Those for giving her another chance pointed out that I tend to fall back and then drop off way too fast most of the time. They said I needed to give her some grace because people say and do crazy things when they're scared. She had to feel helpless being across the country. People who love their dogs can be more sensitive than others. And lastly, I owed it to myself to see where it goes because it's been years since I meshed with someone so well. AITA for not giving her another chance? AITA if I truly don't want to go. My 35F best friend from high school, 35F, and I don't talk anymore or see each other. The last time we did was 5+ years ago, and before that was another 5 years. We both have children who have never met, and we live completely separate lives except the occasional social media, like, or comment. We don't even send reels to another. Haha. She has asked me recently to hang, but I've personally decided to close that chapter of my life, because I have some pain from high school that I prefer to just let go and move on from. She was the popular girl and her husband, the popular fella, having won Barbie and Ken superlatives together. They're now married with their beautiful family, and me married with mine, and I am content with my life and friend group and don't see the need to rekindle a relationship. My past pain was realizing how much shit everyone in that friend group talked. I remember seeing her message other friends about how sorry she was I was over because I'm lame, but they can come over too, and other dumb high school crap like that, but to my face I was her closest friend. It was definitely just immaturity and trying to fit in, but it's mostly the core of my memories of that friendship now. I understand we change and grow from high school, but it was just so unnecessary, and I fear the catch-up would just be to see where I am in life versus actually caring about one another. I received these messages today from her husband, and I feel like an object. Should I be honored instead? They make me feel like something that can be bought. Him. Is this still my name? Him. This is Mark, Ashes. Husband in case you don't have the number saved. Me. Hi Mark, yes it's my name, what's up? Him. I wanna buy a plane ticket for you to come visit Ash for Xmas him. Doable? Me. A plane ticket to their state. I'm in my state, I don't think I need that, haha, but that's very thoughtful of you to consider. I'd love to come see her. I would just need to figure out leaving the fam for a little bit and holiday plans. Him. It would be a surprise visit for Ash. Him. I know she misses you. Him. I fly from my state all the time to his state. Me. United has some nonstops for $, but in January. Otherwise, it's double that in December, and anyways we are pretty booked up with the holidays around the corner. You're a kind husband for wanting to bring your wife's friend to her like that. Very thoughtful, maybe we can plan something after Christmas. Him. Let's do a Thursday to Sunday in Jan. Him. I'll cover that cost. Him. Whatever dates work for you. Me. That's so generous. Let me get back to you tomorrow. I got caught off guard and feel weird, didn't know what to say. I'm too afraid to ever tell the truth around how I really feel, but I said I'd respond tomorrow, so now I'm feeling anxious beyond belief. I have a family, I can't just get on a plane to be someone's jester for a weekend. We haven't even had a phone call catch up in years. AITA? WIBTA if I don't go to my mom's Christmas event context. My parents got divorced when I was in college, I'm now in my 30s. My mom wants me to go to our usual Christmas Eve gathering that involves her siblings and her dad. This is fine, I've always gone and will continue to. She also wants me to come over to her place to do family Christmas, where she gives my brother and I gifts and we give her the things we gotten for her. Now she also wants me to participate in yet another Christmas hang with her fiancé's parents. I have no interest in doing this. I don't like her fiancé to begin with. They've been dating for the past 5 to 6 years. I've been out of the house and living my own life since just before my parents divorced. So to me this man is and always will be my mom's boyfriend, fiancé, or husband if they ever actually go get married. He's never been anything to me personally, and so I have no interest in spending any time with his family. I also have to go to Christmas events with my dad, and then there are my partner's Christmas obligations. There's just too much nonsense to go to around Christmas time. So, now that I've rambled, WIBTA if I tell my mom I have no interest in being involved with her fiancé's family gatherings? AITOH if I don't make both my sisters moss? For context, planning my wedding has been rough with my family. They were late to my dress APPTS. My mom made a huge deal of me choosing a different dress than I planned and made me feel horrible. I am talking crying and up at night for weeks. I don't have a bad relationship with my mom and younger sister overall, but it's strained for sure, and I haven't been including them in much since the dress fiasco. I am asking my older sister, who I am super close with, to be Mo. Not asking my younger sister, because I feel like having two Moss takes away from my older sister's role who deserves it. I also think it's tacky, and FH is not having two best men. Younger sister will be a bridesmaid. I just know this is going to cause drama, hurt feelings, and me to be the awe. So I wanted the general public's opinion on it. I am trying to lessen the blow with fun bridesmaid customized items for younger sister, and no real Mo customized items for older sister. So it's not as blatant. Would I be the awe for not making the both Moss? Thank you. AITA if I find someone else to sign a lease with if my friend doesn't communicate for 2 days. I'm a 21F grad student looking for a place to live next year at my university. This semester, me and a friend of mine were planning to live somewhere off campus. We toured the place back in September and have pretty actively been making plans to sign together since then. I wanted to sign it before our Thanksgiving break in November and would try to pick a date to go sign with her, but she would always say she was working or busy that day, so it kept on getting pushed back. It's now finals week and we both leave for holiday break next week. I have texted her 3 times to see if she wants to sign in the last 2 days and my messages weren't even open. I get everyone is busy, but even a simple IDK would suffice. I just got a response back saying she still needs to call her mom about it. I know I can be really pushy with things, but my parents really want me to sign in the next week and it's been so hard trying to plan this with her. She doesn't have a good track record of communicating on time, and next year we will have to split up utilities and I don't want this to become an issue where I can't get a hold of her. One of my current roommates is actually interested in signing with me, and I am thinking about taking her up on it. I just feel bad ditching my friend like that, but I am just seeing a lot of red flags with her lack of communication, amongst other things like she is a lot louder than I am and has people over pretty late at night. AITA, update. I messaged the first friend and respectfully let her know my concerns and told her I don't think it will work out. The second friend still needs to assess her options but is a lot more responsive than the first one, so at least there's that. Thank you everyone for the great advice and helping me realize the first friend would have been a roommate. AITA for not minding my business and stepping in. I used to have a close group of friends who hung out, partied, and traveled. We were open and transparent with one another. One member, let's call him Steve, has a complicated love life but is very open about it. On a few occasions, I discussed his relationships with others in the group, not negatively, just reflecting on his experiences and expressing hope he'd find someone caring, as we all cared deeply for him. Recently, Steve got drunk at a party, and I noticed him cornering a girl in our group, his ex. They broke up months ago and everybody knew it, when she wanted to leave. She repeatedly said she needed to go, but he didn't let her. I was worried he might make her uncomfortable, especially since I have personal trauma involving drunk men. When she got home, I privately asked if she was okay or if anything inappropriate happened. She assured me they were just talking. Later, when others asked me about the situation, I shared what she told me, that they were just talking and mentioned their breakup in passing, saying it was due to different life goals. I also expressed hope Steve wouldn't make her uncomfortable, but that was all. A few days later, my entire friend group started avoiding me. No one called or responded to me, and when Steve showed up to my birthday party, he accused me of spreading lies about him, saying I tried to paint him as an assaulter. I explained exactly what I said and swore I never intended harm, but he said he didn't believe me and despised me. I reminded him of how I supported him during his toughest times emotionally, financially, and otherwise when no one else would. But he refused to hear me out. My boyfriend and I have since been excluded from group activities. Even when we see them, they ignore us, act like we're invisible, and make plans in front of us without including us. I directly asked others why they were avoiding me, but they brushed it off, claiming I was imagining things, then continued to ignore me. I've apologized to Steve for any misunderstanding or harm caused, taking responsibility for what he perceived as a mistake, but he still refuses to believe me. Am I the asshole? Edit. I am aware I should have kept it to myself and avoid being nosy, despite the fact I did not mean any harm. They wanted the information. Unfortunately, my character was weak and they got it, which left off a bad impression of me in everyone's eyes, including Steve. I am on my own now, reevaluating my actions and using this mishap to improve myself and get rid of bad habits. AITA for taking away my ex's car. My ex, 24F, and I, 27M, broke up due to her being unfaithful and abusive. We were together for 5 years, and during that time I paid for everything and bought her many things, including two $40,000 cars, after she totaled the first one. I had found out about her unfaithfulness when I got suspicious that she wouldn't let me say hi to a mutual female friend over the phone. She told me that there was nothing to worry about and that she was just kicking it with said female friend watching a movie. Which I replied, oh, put me on speaker so I can say hi. The response I got was an immediate no, which perplexed me, and she hung up right after but called me back 15 minutes later saying that they were asleep and she is in the bathroom. I advised her how the situation seems suspicious and if I can't just say hi, this is going to become a huge issue. She hung up on me again and didn't come home until 4 a.m. She came home that night and I went to sleep in the opposite room. She came in the next day trying to make amends, but I couldn't get over the situation, but finally gave in and trusted her, thinking she wouldn't risk our relationship like that. I went to go to the grocery store to pick up a few things in the car that same night, and when I did I saw a jacket that wasn't mine, as I am 6'7" and this was only a large jacket which doesn't fit me. On the way home I also saw a male name and his iPhone 15 attempting to connect to the car's Bluetooth. A previous fight we had, she had threatened to F this guy that turned out to be her male coworker. This name was not in the car a week prior, as the only name that would come up when trying to connect was her own when I used it. I confronted her about it and she swore up and down she didn't cheat but ended up sleeping in the other room without any word from her. She proceeded to live in that room rent-free for 8 months till I stopped paying all her bills, as she was no longer talking to me. She moved out without a single word, changed her number and took the car with her. I had co-signed for this vehicle, and within those 8 months I tried to talk to her about refinancing the car in her name so she can keep it, because I didn't want to take away her only means to be able to go to work, which she ignored. The first month she moved out, the payment for the car immediately stopped and I received multiple calls from debt collectors regarding the car. I tried to contact her through email, her mom, her old phone number, with no response. I decided as she is not making the payments and deferred on the car payment that I would pay it, activate the tracking and go pick it up. She then immediately contacted me saying I'm the a-hole for taking her car. I advised her that I made the $16,000 down payment, all the payments, plus insurance for it, and gave you the chance to take it, make payments for it, but ignored me and almost ruined both of our credit in the process. I did not take the car until 2 to 3 months passed of her not paying it. AITA for taking the car? AITA for refusing to let my stepfather walk me down the aisle? Backstory. My father died when I was 12 and my older brother was 17. He was practically a boy when my mother went into a depression that affected her for years. My brother stepped in and took care of us. He helped out around the house and helped me with school while my mother was getting treatment. He basically became my father figure. I didn't want him to grow up so fast, but I was a little girl who had just been orphaned. I wouldn't be able to do much. Time skip, now I'm 26 and my brother is 31. My mother got better years later and met a guy named A, who seems really nice, but he can't have children biologically. That's why his wife separated from him years ago. The problem is, I'm getting married in 2 months and my stepfather insisted on walking me down the aisle because it would be the only chance he could do something like that, but I really want it to be my brother. Because no one deserves this more than him. Now half of my family is on my side and the other half said that I should go with my stepfather because my brother would look aesthetically weird next to me since we are close in age. What do I do? Tell everyone to go fuck themselves? Lose the chance to go with my brother? I don't know how to talk to my mother because she is not so mentally stable anymore. Possible relevant info: mom, 55, stepdad, 55, and they have been together since I was 20. I'm sorry for any mistakes, English isn't my first language. AITA for causing a scene at a coffee shop? I, 22F, was doing some work at a coffee shop this morning. The seating at the cafe were these small circle-shaped tables, each with 2 chairs, and each arrangement were placed pretty tightly together. I had already clearly set up all my stuff, and was busy answering emails on my laptop. At the table behind me was this older man, but there was an empty seat right behind my back. This guy walks in, who seems to be a coworker or something of the guy behind me, and asks me if I can move. Mind you, this is at 8 a.m., and there's clearly a bunch of other empty seats in the cafe. He asks me this, and before I could respond, he picks up my table himself and says that you have all this room to move it. I panicked because I felt like he invaded my personal space, and I stand up and raise my voice saying, "You didn't have to move it, I would have done it myself if you asked nicely." At this point the cafe goes silent and the baristas are even looking, and the guy is all defending himself, telling me that he was just trying to do it for me. A little later, he ends up moving to a different table after more of his work buddies come. But he eventually sits back down again in the seat behind me and is noticeably pushing my chair while we're back to back. After a few minutes of this, I get pissed, and push my chair against his before packing my shit up and leaving. AITA? I don't know if I am overthinking it, but I am also a smaller Asian female and he was a lot older than me and bigger. I am just upset because this is my favorite coffee shop too, and I have never had something happen like this there. WIBTA if I cancel a reservation with a friend for her services because I feel like she overreacted? I, 33F, have a bit of a dilemma and I would like some help figuring this one out. My friend, 38F, runs a small pet care business out of her home. I will soon be traveling and cannot take my pets with me, so I asked her if she would be interested in taking them for the dates I would be away. She agreed and gave me a quote. A week later the subject comes up and the quote changes. We were not in private, and discussing the subject further was nearly impossible, loud kids barging into the room we were in. So, the next day I asked her about it. It was a very simple question along the lines of, "Hey, when we talked last week we said X, but yesterday it seemed that was no longer the case. Did something change?" Her response was long and winding, 5 paragraphs long, to be exact, and it was very defensive and extremely inflammatory. Lots of justifications, explanations, gaslighting, and then a hint at me and my partner owing her gratitude. I responded by reminding her that I was asking a question to make sure we were on the same page and I was trying to understand what changed. She responded with more of the same. She claimed to be upset that I didn't bring it up the day prior. I had. We just weren't able to finish the conversation for aforementioned reasons. So, in my frustration I conceded. She made me feel really out of pocket for asking a simple question. And I am not sure if I am the asshole or not here. But here's where I am at now. I am honestly feeling very stuck and I no longer feel good about this transaction, but I also don't know what to do about the friendship. I don't want my pets in her care for various reasons, the exchange being one of them, but the other being her children's behavior around my dogs. She's also extremely busy all day long with many kids and pets of her own, and I worry that my pets will be neglected. Overall, I feel really crummy about this situation. I don't know if I am overreacting or if I am warranted here. I am not sure what to say at this point. I just don't feel good at all about my dogs being with her now, and I don't know how to end this without ruining the relationship and feeling like I am the asshole. So, WIBTA, AITA, ETA. It's not about the quote at all to me, the price change was slight. It's the principle of the matter and her reaction. She also claimed holiday pricing for the entire stay when in reality the holiday pricing would only apply to the actual holidays, not all 3 weeks it'll be gone. By doing this, she claimed that she was giving us a huge discount, charging us normal prices instead of holiday prices for the 3 weeks, not counting actual holidays. Update. I cancelled the services. Left things vague, thanked her for her consideration and wished her happy holidays. Her response was scattered and weird like the ones prior, but now I am no longer worried about my dogs, nor do I have to deal with more adult tantrums. Thanks all for your help on this one. I really appreciate it. WIBTA for telling my mom she can't drink or trauma dump on me during her visit. My parents are starting divorce proceedings and it's getting ugly. More background below. I've given them both some advice and recommendations for sorting things out, but I've been ignored or told off. I want to respect their feelings and be understanding to the fact that the end of a 41-year marriage is really tough and takes time to process. But I'm over them putting me in the middle. My mom and sister are coming to visit the week before Christmas, and I want to set the expectation that I don't want to hear about the divorce or bad-mouthing my dad, and she isn't allowed to drink when she's around me. My sister is concerned my mom will go nuclear and ruin everything if I set this expectation. Edit. Clarifying, my sister has said I would be the asshole for doing this and ruining Christmas. WIBTA? Background: my mom is a long-term alcoholic and narcissist. She gets really nasty when she's drinking, but the next morning never talks about it and never apologizes. My dad is also a narcissist and has ultra-vintage values. In a nutshell, believes women are there to serve him, and refuses to accept he has had anything to do with the marriage falling apart. In early November, he fell for a romance scam and has lost $200,000 and bought the woman an engagement ring. He continues to have a text relationship with this scammer and has also joined dating websites. Last week I told both of them that they need to seek out therapy to work through their own issues. If they didn't want to use a therapist, then find a legal mediator to help referee their conversations since they don't communicate very well. I've also encouraged them to consider a separation for several months before making the decision to finally divorce. Neither of them were receptive, and at the end of that phone call I told them I didn't want to talk about this anymore. AITA for asking my boyfriend to not share how much he spends on his child for Christmas. I, 30F, have been seeing my boyfriend, 37M, for over a year and a half now. I have 2 kids, 9 and amp, 5, from a previous marriage, and he has 1 child, 10, from a previous marriage. We do not live together, nor do we have any money together. Due to our personal situations, we have no expectations that either of these things will change for 13 years. We are both at the moment okay with this. He has his place and financial obligations as I have mine. I left my marriage for many reasons, but my kid's dad and I have a pretty good co-parenting relationship. He does not pay child support because he has our kids 50% of the time. My boyfriend has his child every weekend and every Wednesday evening. He supports his ex with child support and alimony since she homeschools their child so she cannot work. I make less than 50% of what my boyfriend makes, so our lifestyles are very different and how we view money is very different. This has never been a problem. However, I am starting to be very jealous of what he can give his child over what I can give mine. Yes, this is a me problem. There is absolutely nothing wrong with him spending his money how he wants, especially for his child. This year I had a couple financial hits, so Christmas, which I felt was always tight for my kids, is extra tight. I spent about $100 each. My boyfriend knows about my insecurity of what I can do for my kids and respects it. I have bought his child a couple of gifts for Christmas, about $40 for 3 gifts, and told my boyfriend the amount so he doesn't overspend for mine, as I don't see that being fair for his child. Both my children still believe in Santa, whereas his has not, from my understanding, since he was 7. My kids never ask for a lot, so I am always able to make it work. This year his child has been asking for the Lego set of the Polar Express. It's a $600 set. Of course my boyfriend has gotten him that as well as a couple $200 sets. I always keep my feelings to myself about my sadness that I can't even provide a total Christmas amount of one of those items for my kids because like I said before, this is a me problem. My boyfriend just texted me about him buying his son his last gift as a 3D printer and the amount was just under $200. So as I am sure you can do the math, he is spending $1,000 on Christmas for his child. His child will be so happy and love everything, and that makes me so happy for him. It just makes me feel like shit because I can't even spend $200 on one of my children and they know that, so they don't ask for hardly anything. Their Santa gifts are always their big item and everything I give them are clothes, board games, a book, and one small toy. As I've said, I know this is a me problem and I would never ask him to not spend that much on his kid or help me financially with mine, but I just don't want to know the amounts of everything he gets. I haven't brought it up to him yet because I don't know if that makes me a jerk. Should I stay quiet about my feelings or should I ask my boyfriend to not disclose the prices of what he spends on his kid? AITA for disliking my mom's new cats. I, 22M, am currently typing this while my legs are used as scratching posts. For the last approximately 15 years, our family has owned 2 cats. My home situation has been very bad ever since I was a little kid. My mother and brother are hoarders, so oftentimes, these 2 cats would be the only things I could look forward to when coming home. Sadly, both have passed within the last 6 months, and I've experienced on and off depression since. But recently, I've begun to enjoy living without the responsibility of cats. I feel like I have freedom again, and it's so much easier to keep my room clean. I finally feel like I've been able to move on. Up until 2 weeks ago, when my mother, 64F, announced that we would be adopting 2 new cats the following day, one 5 years old and one 5 months old. She told me they would need to stay in my room, because I'm the only person in this house whose room isn't blanketed with trash. She told me all this 1 minute before I had to leave for work too, so I couldn't argue against it. It's her house, her rules, but isn't this as unfair? To both me and the cats. It's not fair for me to have this responsibility, and it's not fair for them to have to live in a house that may be worse than a shelter. The 5-year-old cat is actually quite pleasant and I don't dislike him. It's the 5-month-old kitten, on the other hand, who is a demon sent from hell, sent specifically to antagonize me. I can't fault him for being a kitten, but I cannot cope with his level of energy. I work 2 jobs at the moment, one part-time and one remote, and it's infuriating to try to sleep or work when he is constantly tearing around the room, screaming, climbing up my legs, chewing on any material he can fit in his mouth, etc. The only sort of relief I can get is by calling him a demon. Before anyone gets furious with me, the kitten has many toys and I play with it multiple times a day. I regularly feed them and empty their litter box, which is less than a meter away from my bed. I have experience taking care of cats already, and furthermore, have done research to understand how to accommodate a kitten. I am doing my best to take care of them, but I'm doing it entirely out of obligation. I have no fondness for them and wouldn't feel any remorse if they were rehomed tomorrow. I hate my mom for this, too. I think she did this to make me feel better, but all it's done is make me resent her more. I can tell she genuinely thought this would be a good idea and she tried to do something nice for me, but I feel she has had consistent problems assessing how her actions may be perceived, or how they may affect others. I've started ignoring her, and I generally try to stay out of the house now outside of sleep and my remote job. I'm not talking to her and I'm not helping her clean any of the rest of the house to accommodate the cats, either, because I feel like I'm taking up so much responsibility already. Should I just grit my teeth and bear this, or should I tell my mom that I don't want to help her with her cats? AITA for changing my holiday meal from a nice prime rib roast to cheesesteak sliders. Every year I like to do a fancy meal for my family of about 12 people. This year the plan was a prime rib dinner with all the fixings. Now my daughter-in-law has invited 7 extra people to my house to enjoy this. I'm usually generous with an extra person or 2 attending, but at $10 a pound for prime, not to mention me having to make the whole meal, I'm feeling like pulling out the deli slicer and cutting the roast I already ordered into paper-thin slices and serving it on the cheap rolls with bags of chips on the side. I'll order a second roast for myself and cook that up later to get my fancy meal fix. AITA for refusing to listen to music with my dad. So I, 16F, went out to eat with my family yesterday. We were having a lot of fun until we started talking about tattoos. I'm a big Vocaloid fan, kinda addicted, so one of the tattoos that I said I wanted was an O2 on my shoulder with Kajamine Len written below. My parents looked annoyed and said that they would never let me tattoo that, making jokes with his name on my country. Kajamine can sound like poop on me if you really mess with the name. I got upset because Len is my favorite, so I asked why they had a problem with the name. My dad said that the character's name was stupid. I know it's kinda silly, but I got really sad. He called something I really like stupid, and I never called anything he likes stupid. I decided to ignore the comments. Earlier today, I was in the car with my dad. Every time, he asks me to play some music on my phone, but this time I decided to just play the songs that weren't in Japanese. 90% of my playlist is Japanese songs. After the same song played for the third time, he asked why I wasn't playing the other songs. I said that I thought he wouldn't want to listen to stupid music. He got upset and said that he was just joking and that I was exaggerating. Now, he's trying to make me talk about Vocaloid like I always do, but I just stay quiet. AITA, WIBTA if I tell my mom I won't visit after Christmas unless she pays for my flight. I, 28F, am going to my boyfriend's, 28M, parents' house for Christmas this year because he went to my parents' house for Christmas last year. My mother, 64F, wants me to come visit her and my father in the days after Christmas. This would mean 3 flights in total for me, home to boyfriend's parents to my parents to home. I can afford the extra flight, but it's still money I don't really want to spend. The flights to my boyfriend's parents were a bit pricey to begin with, and it's the holidays, so I'm obviously having to spend on presents, and I just don't feel comfortable adding another expense. My parents are well off and could easily afford to pay for my flight. I mentioned being a little concerned about costs when my mother asked me to come, but I didn't outright ask for help. WIBTA if I convey to my mother, in more diplomatic language than this, that I'm not going to come unless she helps with the cost? I wouldn't normally ask my parents for anything, but my boyfriend says it would be reasonable in this case. ETA. I probably should have added the context that my feelings towards my parents are complicated. I feel a sense of obligation towards them because they're my parents and they did a lot for me, paid for my college, etc. But my father has done some pretty bad things and my mother never stopped him, so I don't really feel a sense of genuine affection for them. Maybe this complicates things too much, but I realize that my attitude towards my parents probably seems weirdly cold, so I wanted to explain that. AITA for wanting Christmas presents I asked for instead of surprises. Basically all of my life I've gotten gifts that I never asked for. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. Recently I decided to discuss this with my mother. Long story short, after a little bit of arguing, she called me ungrateful for not liking a gift, despite me not wanting it, for example a paper airplane kit, which I've received before. Am I wrong for this? WIBTA for keeping roommate's cat. My roommate who I have lived with for approximately 5 years is going to be moving out this month and wants to take her cat back to her family's house with 2 other cats and a dog. We have 2 cats living with us. The one in question is one that she brought with her since the beginning that she has had since the cat was a kitten. 3 years ago, roommate disappears to her husband's place for a year, don't ask, and was still paying rent. I took care of the cat's chores in total and paid for most but not all of the food and all of the litter. 2 years ago roommate files divorce with husband and starts living in my space more. I begin to pay for the cat's food and litter in full, and even though roommate moves back in, I am still feeding and doing all chores for the cat. Even if I come home late from work she would still not feed the cat. The cat is also sleeping with me every night. Cat hangs out with me all the time even when roomie is home with me. Last year I adopt a second cat from a friend, slowly introduced the cats to each other. It was a ton of work. They love each other now, and I'm still paying and doing everything for both. I really want to keep them together and keep her cat. So, roommate is moving out now that they lost a job. She says to me that she spoke to her brother about the cat's feeding schedule and how he might have to adjust their 2 cats to take care of our cat who she's decided will be moving there. That was the first time I even heard about her wanting the cat, as if it had already happened. I feel offended that she didn't even sit down to discuss anything with me, the person who has been taking care of this cat in full for 3 years. Although I feel offended, I also am completely sympathetic to her wanting to take the cat she's known since cat's birth back with her when she moves. She told me she will miss the cat, so will I, immensely. I sleep with both cats every single night and am mortified at the thought of losing her. I have a strong moral dilemma about the whole thing. I am not sure whether it would be better to take a stance of remaining silent to keep this roommate happy, while stressing out my cat immensely and letting her take what feels like my pet from me, although I take the pain if it be the correct decision in a karmic ethical sense. If I give it up, I am still planning on asking her to back pay me for the food, at least a portion, so it stings at least somewhat for her too. Or is it appropriate for me to plead my case to her as to why I believe it to be a bad idea for her to take the cat, given that it is her cat in a technicality, and definitely not by action or cost? AITA for not engaging? My sister, J, is a single mother in her early 20s and had a friend that was going to rent a house with her. This house belonged to my friend, turned my sister's friend, B. B and I have been friends for 20 years now. B would be moving to a different state and not coming back to our hometown. I only found this out because she decided to reach out to my sister about renting the house and told her this. So the day before my sister was set to move in, her friend backed out and she could not find someone else to move in with her. She realized she could not afford it alone. Rent was going to be $1,000 on a $400 a month mortgage. So my sister messaged B saying she would not be moving in and she didn't give a reason. This upset B, of course. The next day I was at work and B messaged me saying that she didn't want to put me in the middle, but she needed to talk to me about how my sister sabotaged her and that she can't deal with my sister ever again. I told her I was at work and would reach out. After thinking about it, I didn't reach out. I didn't think I needed to, as it had absolutely nothing to do with me. I also took offense that she would message me about this drama but not tell me she was moving away for good. It's now been a few months and B blocked me on all social media. I am assuming she did this since she was mad I didn't respond to her at all. AITA for not getting back to her or engaging in this since it had nothing to do with me? Edit. For typo. WIBTA if I got my own car insurance policy. In the summer before my junior year of high school, my 18F grandfather passed away due to cancer complications. Before he died, he wrote a note saying that his sedan is being left to me. The title is in my dad's name since I wasn't 18 when it was given to me, but I am 18 now. Now, I don't like relying on my parents for anything because they're the type where if they help you with something, it will be thrown in your face later. Since I couldn't claim it myself, my dad, 47M, had to drive an hour to get it. I've admittedly had kind of a bad time with my driving lately. I've gotten a few tickets, one parking, one moving, and last Saturday my car was impounded, probably because my parallel parking was not the best. I wanted to pay the tickets quietly and sweep it under the rug. But then my parents found out and they're making my life hell over all of it. I know I royally screwed up, and I'm paying the price, literally. But today my mom came in and told me that I can't deliver food anymore because our insurance won't cover it. I tried, telling her that I could definitely pay any extra cost, and she told me that she didn't think I made enough money for that. My employment options are very limited, so delivering is my only income. So I'm currently out of work right before the holidays. On top of all that, she also took my damn car keys, indefinitely, in hopes that it will teach me a lesson. I tried telling her that I'm 18 and she has no right to punish me, and my mom said that since the car is technically still in my dad's name, she had every right to take it. And they're also expecting me to start paying for the repairs on my own. Why the hell should I have to pay for a car I'm not currently allowed to drive? My train of thinking is, I should just get my own insurance and then they'll stop having a say with the car at all. But my mom told me not to do that because, reasons? I get that it'll be high for a bit, because of my age and occupation, but that doesn't really matter to me much. I know I can afford it, I know I'll need to start paying my own bills eventually anyway. The only thing stopping me is that my parents will definitely drag their feet the whole way. For clarification, I'm wanting to 1. Get the vehicle title in my name. 2. Get my own car insurance policy. I honestly don't know why she doesn't want me to have my own policy. But she is still my mom and is older, wiser, etc. And this has the potential to make the holidays really awkward. WIBTA if I went against my mom's wishes and assumed full financial responsibility for my car? I'm sick of the both of them holding this over my head. AITA for considering to break up over her career path and student loans? Hi all, I, 27, recently started dating this girl, 23, that I met on an online dating app. We have been dating for only a month and connect very well emotionally. However, I am a bit concerned about her current career path and student loans, which may impact our financial future together if we were to get married eventually. She is currently in graduate school to become a family and marriage therapist. However, she will have student loans of $150,000 from the program. And after she graduates, she will have 2 years of an associate program where she will be working under a supervised program, which has a very low salary. After the associate program, her estimated salary per year is still low, $70,000 per year. If we were to eventually marry, I am worried about our financial future together. I am currently working as a program manager making $110,000 per year and am saving up for a down payment, and ideally would prefer a partner with a similar financial situation. Is it an asshole way of thinking for me to consider ending things for this reason? AITA New Year's family drama. So, long story short, my mother is traveling 5 hours to spend Christmas with us this year as arranged. I have been invited out by friends for New Year's Eve. I mentioned that I wouldn't be spending New Year's with the family, but with my friends, to my older sister. I also said that sometimes you gotta do what makes you happy. To which she proceeded to tell me that my attitude was very fuck everyone else and selfish. That she would be spending New Year's with her because she could never be so disloyal to her mom. We didn't arrange anything for New Year per se. So, am I the asshole for choosing to spend the evening how I want to? Am I being a selfish and disloyal daughter? Or is my sister being a complete ass? AITA for telling Arando on Snapchat that I am taken and blocking her. I guess I am, according to my girlfriend. I told said girlfriend about this because I feel like I should be honest with her and tell her when random girls try to either hit on me or ask me out. I was talking with my girlfriend and everything was going fine. Then out of the blue, some girl I haven't talked to since 2019 messaged me. I didn't know why she wanted to talk to me at that particular moment in time, so my curiosity got the better of me. This was the conversation that occurred. Gee. Hey, can I ask you a question? Me. Yeah? Also, I have a girlfriend, just so you know. I am not looking to flirt if that's why you're thinking. Gee. Oh well, that's good to know. I guess I can't ask you my question then. Then I told my girlfriend what happened because honesty is one of my best qualities. Or maybe worst, since if I hadn't have told her, this whole fight wouldn't have even happened. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I felt that if I didn't tell her about it, basically lying, karma would come to fuck me in the ass. Anyway, I told her and she completely freaked out. I would understand if it was at the other girl's expense, but she took what I told her and made it a point to pin it entirely against me. She kept talking about how I should be talking to other girls, or you still gave her the time of day, even though this wasn't a casual chat that lasted over an hour. It ended pretty quickly in like less than a minute before I blocked her, and I didn't start the conversation. Plus she damn well knows that I wouldn't personally engage with another female unless me and my girlfriend both knew her, or if it was a coworker of mine trying to train me on certain aspects of my job that I still can't quite grasp. Or if the female was one of my family members. I tried over and over again to explain what happened, but she still pinned it on me and didn't even mention this other bitch. I feel like my girlfriend has got this whole thing all wrong, and now I feel like I can't tell her anything that happens without her blaming it entirely on me and not on the girl. Because you know, in this society, women never do anything wrong and it's always the man's fault. Plus, like, what if I were to have a female friend? You know what? Scratch that. I don't even want to have a female friend because I am fairly certain the same fight would happen over and over again. But the ironic part of this is that she still does streaks with an old junior high school friend, male, dudes she met from work, and some random guy from the UK. Her defense is, but we don't talk to each other. What my problem with that particular defense is that I didn't randomly talk to this bitch out of the blue. She talked to me and I ended it very abruptly. That to me isn't talking to other girls or giving them the time of day. If someone wants to tell me how horrible of a person I am and make me understand what I did wrong, feel free, because I am lost. AITA for not taking a turn. Just some background info. This happened between me, M23, and my friend, M21, during my stay in the city he lives in. We have both driven each other before. I was leaving that day with my relatives and we only had his car. We planned to go out first and he told me to drive his car, to which I agreed. He wanted to pass by the laundromat first. I said okay. The problem is the laundromat is located in a kind of squared center on the other side of the street, where you have to take the long way to the U-turn or just take the first left, but he'd have to walk through the center, which is not that far at all, it's like 15 steps max. Anyways, when I stopped there he said, "No, could you go around the center and stop in the laundromat's parking spaces? I don't want to walk in the sun." To which I respond, "There is no need. Just get from here." And then he asked if I have a reason or if I'm just being stubborn. From my point of view, he's the one being stubborn and asking for that very unnecessary drive around the center, since he's stopped me at the exact spot many times before, but I never saw the need to tell him to stop at the parking spaces just to get to the laundromat. He then says if it's about being stubborn then he'll do the same, and he doesn't get out and gets his phone to play. I give him a bit of time to get out and then I just drive, to which he says, "Just take this right," which is what he wanted all along anyways. The right turn allows for going around the center, and I say I'm going to my relative's house since they're waiting for me, and then he can drive himself wherever he wants. We argued on our way too. We stopped talking for a while until he called me to tell me that he thinks I'm at fault and should have apologized instead of keeping to myself like I did. I know it's very silly, but it got escalated, and that's why I'm asking you guys for input. WIBTA, if I gave my unfiltered opinion on my GF's plans to not finalize divorce for 3+ years, I've been dating my 42F, GF, 39F since May. My GF was separated from her wife and had moved out of the house they owned together when we started dating. I didn't feel it was my place to get involved in their divorce proceedings, so I didn't ask questions, I just listened when GF needed to vent. GF told me that shortly after their separation, her ex began contacting her family regularly by phone and spending the night and weekends with them. GF was frustrated because her ex never made an effort to communicate or be a part of her family when they were together. My GF told her family that she didn't like them interacting with her ex. Last weekend, stepmom told us that the ex was pet sitting for her daughter and had spent the weekend with them and helped them do some packing for upcoming move. My GF was very upset and didn't understand why the family is continuing relationship with her ex. This led to an in-depth convo about timelines, agreements, and plans for their divorce. It was then that GF told me that she was going to give her ex 3 years or longer if needed to refinance the house to take my GF's name off the mortgage, and once this was done, then they'd finalize the divorce. She said she's gonna give her ex 1 year to finish her degree, 1 year to complete her student teaching requirement, and 1 year to start earning and saving on a higher salary and possibly add TL time BC. Her ex isn't happy with the current interest rates and wants to wait until they go down. GF is allowing ex to claim all house-related expenses, write-offs on her taxes this year. EXS. Mom offered to co-sign ASAP to get the mortgage refinanced as soon as divorce was on the table. I mistakenly assumed that GF was going to be getting divorce finalized ASAP, and I am frankly pissed that she didn't feel like she should tell me that she planned on staying married for 3+ years. My GF feels guilty about leaving her ex BC. Ex doesn't want the marriage to end and ex is taking advantage of her guilt, emo. My GF doesn't have the money for an attorney and they're planning to go through one of those quick outside of the courts divorce agencies. GF's ex is a trust fund kid W rich family. Now that ex knows GF is in a relationship, she has been making veiled threats that if GF doesn't go along with her wishes then she'll get an attorney. I haven't told GF how upset I am by the news that she's planning to stay married to this woman for years, and I don't know if it's my place to insert myself. I am afraid that if I don't say something, I am gonna get bitter and resentful. I feel like GF is being taken advantage of, allowing herself to be screwed over. I think that ex is trying to stay attached to GF as long as she can in whatever way she can. WIBTA to tell my GF that this plan is ridiculous, that her ex is taking advantage of her and she needs to either tell her ex to refinance now or they need to sell the house, get an attorney and finalize the divorce. AITA for blocking someone I think is being creepy. So I, 20, used to friends with this guy, 18. I met him in high school and he seemed like a chill guy. I didn't want to date him or anything, he was a friend though. Clearing that out already. He started off really friendly and sweet. He was a huge D&D nerd and I was learning how to play. I gave him my number and we chatted for a while. But then the chat started taking a weird turn. He would talk about how he was flashed by a girl, and that most girls he met cheated or were AW-full people. Which I get, girls can be dicks too. Then he started to talk about what kind of grown-up stuff he was into. And it all got weird. I joke about liking thighs at first BC. I thought he was joking, but then he kept talking about it. So I let him know that that was an uncomfortable thing for me to talk about, seeing how I am asexual now, but he continued to bring it up. We also had plans to go see a Marvel movie that year but didn't. He said that he would like to lay on my stomach and hear all the sounds my stomach made while watching the movie. After a while I stopped texting back at all, hoping that would be the end for a while. Last summer I visited my hometown again and we went to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, and he ended up sitting in the same theater I was in. After the movie we ended up at the bathrooms waiting for my sister. It was me and my mom. He comes over, starts talking to me and my mom's trying to get him to leave. But he's inching closer and closer to me while I try to back up and give myself space. My mom eventually got him to leave and we left. After that I blocked him on most of my socials. Just last night this same guy starts commenting on my Insta posts, "It's just art," and trying to DM me on there too. I blocked him, but now I feel like I might be been overreacting. Am I the asshole here for blocking him without hearing him out? WIBTA for telling my sister her energy is draining me? Hi everyone. So I, 25F, am extremely close with my two sisters, 21F, 29F. As a trio we have so much fun together and have come so far enforcing healthy communication and boundaries. But as of late, I've been struggling to speak to my older sister. My sisters have been arguing, so they've been taking space from one another. I've been having separate conversations with them and noticed that when I am speaking to my younger sister, 21F, I am more involved. We laugh more, we both share our interests, and I am at ease. But when I am speaking to my older sister, 29F, I feel sucked into gossiping about her coworkers right after they leave her desk, or listening to her stories about people at work pissing her off. It's usually negative, or if we talk about our dysfunctional family, who the three of us have gone low contact with, her language is very aggressive and strong, which triggers me. This isn't a new realization, but I think the feeling is exaggerated because I am having individual convos with her. I've communicated many times to her that I don't like gossiping or ruminating on specific family members just for the memories, but it seems like the behavior repeats itself, and before I know it I am doing the same thing. I've been working on my people-pleasing tendencies with everyone in my life, but I find the most difficulty with her. Things have been rough for her. She hates her job and also really wants to be married. She said that because my younger sister and I are married and stay at home, it gets to her sometimes. I've been super supportive of her and want to handle this with as much care as I can, but it's starting to drain me. I want to be empathetic, but also make space for what makes me comfortable. WIBTA if I communicated that she is draining me with negativity? WIBTA. If I don't choose to see my mommy, 23M, have been living on my own for a few years now. I don't have the greatest relationship with my mother due to her absence, emotional and physical, with me as a child. She never planned to have kids and it showed throughout my childhood. The fact solidified when she sent me to live with relatives until I was old enough to live on my own. Fast forward to now, I've been working at this family-run catering business and I've never been happier. They treat me like I'm their own and it's great. Earlier today we had a catering job for this company dinner. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary as we headed over. Once we make it seems like a standard job, we're helping set up and serving food as instructed. Halfway through the company dinner I begin to walk around and clear away any dishes and trash. I walk over to this one table and begin cleaning before someone calls my name. Confused, I look up and see my mother looking right at me with wide eyes. Obviously I'm in shock too as I look at her. To make matters worse, there is a man sitting at the table along with a little kid. I quickly take whatever I needed and get out to avoid being near her any longer. The rest was a blur, and before long I find myself back with her. She began to tell me that a lot has happened ever since she sent me away, and that all I needed to know now was that she had a husband and a family. And in my confusion I do believe I got a bit frustrated with her and questioned why she didn't tell me more, which was kind of a jerk move in my part. She quickly wrote her number down on a napkin and handed it to me, telling me to contact her on when we wanted to meet up. It's been a few hours. I don't want to be an asshole by not meeting her, but I'm sort of scared about what will happen if I do meet her. I don't know, I need some advice. AITA for not buying a new bed frame. AITA for not buying a new bed frame because my fiancé's dad and his girlfriend are overweight. We have a somewhat cheap bed frame, one of those metal ones you get from Walmart. Last time they came to visit us and stayed in our guest room, they didn't feel comfortable sleeping on the bed and slept on an air mattress instead. They are planning on coming to visit soon and they expect us to buy a new bed frame because they are afraid of our bed breaking under their weight. We have other expenses that have priority over this, and I don't feel like I should have to buy a new one because they are obese. AITA, my fiance is thinking of just building one out of our leftover wood from other projects, or maybe just adding supports to it. AITA for not having plans to forgive my father. I am a 22-year-old living with my family while in college. For the most part, things have been okay. I am familiar with the area and not paying rent. However, recently, I've been feeling uneasy because of my father's comments. He has said things like, if I wasn't married, I'd have left a long time ago, and has told my mom had leave her to be a single mother, claiming she couldn't survive without him. I've always struggled with a bond with my dad. From childhood to now, he's always kept to himself, eating, watching TV, and sleeping in his room. He has a short temper, and I've always felt uncomfortable around him. When I was 14, we had a heated argument after he found messages between me and an online friend where I expressed my anger and frustration, saying I hated him and how he ruins my life. My friend even suggested I call the police. By the time my mom got home, I was already at my uncle's house. While she was trying to sleep because she had work the next day, he started yelling at her, claiming that her kids were trying to send him to jail and that he would have to handle how we raised himself. After that day, I never attempted to form a relationship with my father. I don't talk to him, laugh at his jokes, or entertain his silly ideas. I don't smile at him, I just glare and quickly walk to my room. While I don't plan on speaking to him anytime soon, his comments about leaving me and my mother are a bit concerning. I plan on staying in the house until I finish my MD, after which I'll cut all contact with him. My older brother tells me to try to see things from a better perspective, as in our religion it's encouraged to keep a close and healthy relationship with our parents, but it's hard to let go of how distant and harmful my relationship with my dad has been. AITA, it's my birthday and she hates me. AITA, my mill is hosting a birthday dinner for myself and two of my sisters, as our birthdays are all in December. The problem is she's also inviting a woman she took in, who literally hates my guts and spends her days talking shit about me and my 18-month-old daughter. AITA, if I bail on my own dinner party? P.S. It's literally on my birthday. AITA, 30F, for telling my boyfriend, 28M, not to get his mother a Christmas gift under my name around Christmas time. I have trouble getting everyone a gift due to financial issues and amp. My boyfriend's family is a pretty big family to gift, but his mother always makes sure to provide me with a Christmas gift. I appreciate the thought, but I always feel bad I can't return the gesture, so this year I told my boyfriend to tell his mother not to worry about getting me a Christmas gift. Well, she got my message but got me a Christmas gift anyway. So now my boyfriend asked what I would like to gift her, an amp. He'll get it for me without telling her it's from him, an amp. I don't need to worry about paying him back. I told my boyfriend I understood why he was doing this but not to worry about it, an amp. Explained I felt bad about him doing this since the gift wouldn't be coming from me. My boyfriend affirms he'll be doing it regardless because he's looking out for me, an amp. Wants his mother to have an appreciation for the gift she thinks she's getting from me. I explained again why I didn't feel comfortable about this, an amp. How he was not thinking about me, an amp. Instead, he was thinking more about her since he knew why I didn't feel comfortable about it, an amp. He, supposedly, understood where I was coming from. Towards the end of our dispute, and amp is going in circles about this, he still decides to get a gift for her under my name, disregarding my feelings. AITA for yelling at my roommate for having a loud keyboard. I, 24M, share an apartment with my roommate Jake, 25M. We've been living together for about a year, and we're generally pretty chill with each other. However, we've recently run into a bit of a conflict over his mechanical keyboard. Jake is a software developer who works from home most days. He recently bought this super loud, clicky mechanical keyboard that sounds like a typewriter on steroids. We're talking serious ASMR level clicking sounds that echo through our entire small apartment. I work night shifts as a nurse, which means I need to sleep during the day. Jake knows this. When I'm trying to rest, his keyboard sounds like he's typing out the next great American novel with a hammer. The constant clickety-clack is driving me absolutely insane. Last week, I finally snapped. I came home after a 12-hour night shift, exhausted and needing sleep. Jake was working, and his keyboard was going full machine gun mode. I lost it and told him he needs to either get a quieter keyboard or use O-rings to dampen the sound. Jake argued that it's his workspace and he likes the tactile feedback of his mechanical keyboard. He suggested I use earplugs, but anyone who's worked night shifts knows that sleep is precious and not always easy to come by. Our other roommate thinks I'm overreacting, but I believe basic consideration for your housemate's sleep schedule is important. AITA for getting a cat? I've lived with my roommate for 8 years, and we've known each other for 15. Recently, things have gotten tense due to household responsibilities, his behavior, and my adoption of a new cat. When we moved in, I knew my roommate wasn't the cleanest person. I do most of the cleaning around the house, vacuuming, trash, dishes, yard work, etc. Over time, I ended up doing 90% of the chores, including buying cleaning supplies and cat litter, while he did 10% and never bought anything. We agreed that he'd scoop the litter and keep the sink clear, but he rarely followed through. Another issue has been the garage. We agreed I'd take the basement for my music studio, and had used the garage. But it's been completely destroyed, infested with rodents like raccoons and possums, and he boarded it up without doing anything about it. Even though he said he'd rent a dumpster in October, here we are in December, and nothing's been done. I bought Bluetooth speakers for the bathroom, but after one broke, I upgraded to a better set. Unfortunately, the new set had connection issues, and instead of fixing the problem, my roommate kept asking me to turn off my Bluetooth every time he used the speakers. This was frustrating because I shower in the morning when he's asleep, so I couldn't reciprocate. When it comes to pets, my roommate has 2 cats and a chihuahua. The chihuahua refuses to go outside when it's bad weather, so I've been cleaning up after him. Despite my attempts to litter train and buy diapers, he refused to use them, leaving me to deal with the mess. His cats also had issues with peeing outside the litter box, which led to me renting a carpet cleaner. Eventually, I adopted a new cat, Alfredo, who's calm and FIV+. The shelter assured me that, as long as he didn't get into any fights, he would live a normal life. I followed proper steps to introduce Alfredo to my roommate's cats, but things went south when one of his cats started fighting each other, causing stress and even tooth loss. Despite my efforts to help the cats adjust buying calming products, extra litter boxes, and trying new feeding schedules, my roommate didn't contribute. He hasn't taken his cats to the vet, nor did he offer to help with the costs of supplies I bought. One of his cats even started peeing all over the house on the shower curtain, my curtains, and even my girlfriend's pillow. I cleaned it all up, he didn't help at all. My girlfriend and I stay at my place most nights to make sure the cats are getting along. One night, he told my girlfriend, "You're here too often, and I don't like it. You have your own place, and you should go there more often. I feel like I am not even home in my own house." He's upset about her presence but hasn't communicated directly about it. He's even been slamming doors at night while we're trying to sleep. I've tried to involve him in discussions about how to fix the issues, but he refuses to engage. So, AITA for getting a new cat and having my girlfriend sleep over? AITA for not doing a couple of my friend's late assignments? AITA for not helping my friend with her schoolwork? So I, 24M, have known my friend C, 21F, since high school 2017. We dated in community college, 2022-2023, and split after. While we were in community college, we helped each other with our work, doing assignments for each other. She broke up with me and now we're both in separate universities, but we've since stayed friends. I'm done with my semester and C is cramming trying to get a bunch of late assignments in. C wants me to do a few of her assignments because she feels like she's drowning. Granted, she helped me a lot back in community college. I feel guilty about this, but I can't do her assignments for her. We're apart, in different universities, and from my perspective this is her cross to bear. I wouldn't expect her to do my statistics work for me. If I were about to fail a class, then it would be my own damn fault. She feels hurt and like I've left her out to dry, claiming that this changes how she feels about me. She's also told me her workload multiple times and sent me an email from her professor regarding late work, along with other things that I feel are guilt trips. AITA, TLDR. Friend is cramming. Late assignments, wants me to help because we helped each other in community college. I can't bring myself to do it. AITA for not contacting my parents. Hey all, I just wanted to get some of your opinions because I am feeling really confused and sad. I grew up in an Asian family, and my relationship with my parents was not very close. We love each other, and they provide me with everything so I don't even need to worry about my finances. In some aspects they are pretty chill, like they never expected me to go to Ivy League school or become a doctor, lawyer because no one in our family is a straight A student. Even though I ended up choosing a career path that they didn't really approve, but I enjoy my job. I am feeling conflicted because I can never show positive emotions in front of them. I feel very comfortable expressing anger and frustration, but when something funny happens, I feel really awkward laughing in front of them and end up trying to hold back my laughter. The only time I can actively engage in the conversation is when I want to prove them wrong. I've been living overseas for 6 years, and during this time, I've never initiated any phone or video calls. We have a family group chat where I send photos, but that's about it. I always wait for my parents to call me, and even then, I don't really initiate conversations. Reflecting on this odd dynamic, I feel like it might stem from how anxious and overprotective my parents were while I was growing up. Whenever I tried to tell a joke, it often turned into a lecture, which may have impacted how I interact with them now. This is making me sad because my mom recently told me that my dad has been having SI. He's been facing really tough challenges over the past few years, stress from work, and my grandparents' declining health, which requires a lot of medical care. Being the only son in the family, he carries the heavy responsibility of taking care of them, as is often expected in Asian households. I also feel like our distant relationship might be a contributing factor. I really want to help, but I find it incredibly difficult because reaching out feels so awkward and cringy to me. I think his SI are low risk since he recently found a new hobby, but the more I think about everything, the guilt starts to weigh on me. It feels like while I've been enjoying my life overseas, I've been climbing up the web of his pain. Is this just me, or does anyone else have similar experiences? AITA for not sharing my windfall with my sister and moving out? Basically, I acquired funds a life-changing amount. I sort of live with my sister. Things have been tense and I've been hiding out at our parents' for a few months while still having the obligation to pay rent, all utilities, and cleaning supplies during this time. She owns the home. I had a crisis and needed to move ASAP. She opened her home to me and I will forever be grateful. I got a job, we hung out often, and she proposed I drop money into the mortgage since we will both continue to live there, then in a year sell and buy a new home together elsewhere. For a time, it was a pretty good idea, and we were happy together. I realized things were getting a bit shifty. Almost every week she was bringing up my money, asking when it's coming, how much longer, mortgage rate is going to increase, etc. And I am forbidden to tell our parents as they will try to guilt me into giving some to them. I told them the day I got the funds and nothing happened. After a while, I realized she's the only person talking about it. I lied and said for a while I didn't get the payment yet. The problem is, I've been away under the pretense of work, which is true. But it's really because I couldn't stand the toxicity and walking on eggshells. She says she's broke, depressed that I'm not there so the house is empty, etc. She doesn't want me to pay rent and utilities and not use it. I haven't cut things off because I'm looking for a place. At the very least it's odd to pay for cleaning supplies, but I digress. There's a complete lack of respect towards me. A big bad example is one day she wanted to clean the bathroom. Instead of first telling me, or putting my things in a box for me to organize, she threw away my beauty supplies. I fished through the dumpster for a couple hours. She never apologized. Since then I've tried to hide everything of importance in my room, which doesn't lock. But still, I can't help but feel there will be a storm when I tell her I'm officially moving out, and not helping monetarily. I've got a lot of trauma. I feel incredibly guilty since she's broke despite having a very high-paying job, had a cancer scare, later found out from someone it wasn't cancer though. She's so lonely without me and my pet. She's been waiting for my windfall. In the beginning we had a semi-serious conversation where it made sense, now it doesn't. For the past year I've been dodging the question. Maybe she doesn't see me being hesitant. It will destroy her. I've also been in fight or flight every day and I can't take it anymore. I certainly feel like Ta on the basis of she needs help and companionship. So, AITA, edit. Some commenters brought up points I didn't include in my original post, so I am adding more details here. My goal is to clarify the situation without persuading anyone toward a particular perspective. In regards to the bathroom incident, I am a messy person, only in my own space. The rest of the house I treat as if I don't exist. There have been multiple other similar situations, including going into my room looking for things, and throwing food away because the fridge looks too cluttered, while her items spill over to mine. I will forever be indebted to her taking me in. She also just lost her roommate at the time and needed someone ASAP to share costs, so it was a miraculous win-win. She was the one to push me to move in, not me begging, but I still feel very thankful. As for future plans, she had initially suggested we buy a house together, but now she seems to have shifted her focus toward moving to Germany. I've made it clear that I don't want to move there, it would take years. I am honestly torn on including this. Her mental health isn't great and takes it out on others. I've tried helping her get a therapist and go back on meds, but it falls on deaf ears. I've been patient, understanding, take what's thrown, but it gets to a point where I need to think about me for a minute. It's a bad environment. I was waiting to get better. I love her and don't want her to suffer. But you all are right, not saying anything is awful. I am not dropping a bomb short notice, which I wasn't clear on in original post. WIBTA for visiting my dad on my own terms? My boyfriend, 28M, and I, 27F, have been living together for 5 years, in a relationship for 7. About 2 years ago, we got a dog, 3M. Our dog has some severe anxiety. Not a little bit, a lot. He's afraid of other people. He has a few dog friends that he likes, but in general he's terrified of people and loud noises like fireworks. We've been to specialists, behaviorists, vets, everyone. We are training him and we have him on pills, but progress is incredibly limited and slow. Because of the anxiety, he's difficult to coordinate because we can't leave him with anyone or hire a dog walker or sitter. He needs to be with one of us. It has definitely strained things a lot, but we don't want to give him up. We love him a lot and he's a member of our family. My dad, 56M, lives abroad, about 2h and 10 meters away by plane. He is my only and closest relative, love him to bits. He's had some health issues in the past and he lives alone, divorce. With work and the dog and everything, I don't get to see him very often. My boyfriend has a demanding job, so it's hard for him to adjust his schedule to walk the dog twice and keep up with training without my help. Here comes the issue. My boyfriend has tried to put hard limits on my visits to my dad. He said I can only go for max 10 days at a time, and if I want to go see dad any more often than the once a year I currently go, it can only be for a week at a time. On some level, I get it, it's hard to manage the dog with a demanding job. On the other hand, there are already significant trade-offs with the dog that I've conceded. We don't go on vacations, we don't do overnights, we're even looking for a house with a garden to accommodate him. How much further am I expected to bend? I don't have infinite opportunities to see my dad. He's getting older and I want to take the time I have with him, as much of it as I can. Part of me also thinks my boyfriend can't understand my position because him and his parents aren't very close, and his mom lives nearby so he can see her anytime he wants to. We've tried having a discussion, but it ends in an impasse. I'm thinking of just setting a boundary that the dog isn't going to affect me visiting my dad, and the same way I managed to find workarounds for the dog when boyfriend is working or late, he'll figure it out too. One of my friends accused him of weaponized incompetence, the other one says I need to be more considerate. So, WIBTA? AITA for not going to Christmas because my sister is the type of person who will nicely ask you for something and then berate and put you down for not bending to her whim. She will steal without a care and hurt whoever she needs to in order to get what she wants. She was living rent-free in my stepdad's second house after my dad kicked her out. Got her boyfriend to threaten him, then broke my mother's ribs. I would consider both to be elderly. I mentioned to everyone in my family that if I saw her again it would not be pretty. I then find out on a group text, with a long list of activities, that she will be coming. I said, if she is I will not. Please give me a key to lock up my stuff and let me know the dates so I can plan. I thought this was matter of fact, but apparently AITA for yelling at my auntie 18F have a tongue piercing. I've heard that babies like to see it and whatnot. So I visit my aunt who has a baby and I'm sitting arm's length away sticking out my tongue and making silly faces. My cousin is laughing and sticking out their tongue, while trying to reach for my tongue but can't. I go to make a face and I close my eyes, and when I do that my aunt moves closer and my cousin pulls my tongue ring. When I tell you it felt like my tongue was gonna fall out and it was worse than getting it pierced. I grab his fingers and get him off my ring as my aunt is laughing. I quickly yell at her and call her a fucking moron and ask why she would do that. She tells me she just wanted to get a little closer to see the faces I was making and I need to stop yelling at her when she did nothing wrong. I told her to stop being a bitch and to think and use her brain for 5 seconds in her life instead of always acting impulsively. She starts crying and I leave and tell her not to talk to me. She has told my family that I yelled at her because her baby grabbed my tongue ring, even though babies like to just grab things. She left out that I had distanced myself for that reason and she was the one who moved so my cousin could grab my tongue. My other aunt told me to apologize because calling her Amarona was uncalled for and I should have just told her not to do that, even though both my aunts are in their 30s and should know better. AITA for getting my best friend's hopes up and taking it back the next day. Okay, so before December 4th my best friend, we'll call Ashley, got an uber expensive VIP ticket to a band she loves. December 4th comes around and we're hanging out. She brings up the ticket and how she's excited but doesn't want to go alone. I, impulsively, offer up that I'd go but I wouldn't pay VIP. So Ashley mentions that hey, I'll sell this ticket and you can buy 2 standard tickets, she'd pay me back. I'm like hell yeah, that sounds perfect, let's do it. So I buy them and Ashley posts about her selling tickets. Fast forward later that night, like 12 to 1 am. I'm on the phone with my boyfriend and I'm like wow, why the hell did I do that? Don't even like the band and to be honest I just wanted to be a good friend. She has a lot going on right now, saying what will disclose my location lol, and I know she's not doing well mentally. Anyway, I think about the sheer amount of money I just spent, the fact that I may not even be in this state by that time next year, the fact that my very overbearing mother will be on my ass the whole show, etc. So next day we talked about it, I brought up the points above and she agreed and said it's okay to sell the tickets, so I sold them to my coworker. Keep in mind Ashley still has her original VIP ticket, so it's not like she can't go. However, since then she has not been talking to me at all. I don't know if it's because of these events or the personal issue coming to head on the 6th or something like that. The only time she's responded is when I said a kiosk by my work had rosaries, she asked how much. That's it. I think I'm but I feel like she could have at least said something. I have been contacting and sending her things but she doesn't even open them, so AITA for bringing in crushing hopes in on night. AITA for wanting to let an old friend back into my life after she dated an abuser. I met my best friends, both 24F, within 6 months of each other about 6 years ago. They don't know each other super well. Well, call them Sarah and Angela. Important to note that I am white, Sarah is white, Angela is black. When we first met, Sarah had been dating a guy for several years, Tyler. He's a piece of shit. Cheated on her, shoved her, super emotionally abusive, sometimes said the N-word casually, and had a weird fetish for getting cucked by black men. I fucking hated him, and over I begged Sarah to break up with him. Finally about a year and a half ago she did and became a different person as compared to the shell she was with Tyler. She told me more, she was afraid to tell me when she was with him that he shoved her, cut her with a knife, and convinced her she was nothing without him. About 6 months after they broke up, her and Tyler got back together. She moved in with him a month later, and I lost it. I told her I was so angry and disappointed that she could even look at this man, let alone live with him. I told her she had no self-respect being with a guy that treated her so poorly, that I didn't like who she was when she was with him, and that if they got married, I wouldn't be there. I couldn't support her in good conscience anymore. We drifted a lot after that, and the final nail in the coffin of our friendship was Angela. Angela told me that if I continued to hang out with Sarah, she wouldn't be friends with me anymore. She said she never liked Sarah, felt like she looked down on her, and was racist for dating Tyler. She said it looked bad on me too. So a few days later I invited Sarah over and told her I didn't want to see her outside of work anymore. We hadn't seen each other anywhere but work since June, and last week she pulled me into her office to tell me that I was right, that Tyler's abuse had become more frequent, and that she's planning to leave him for good. She wants to be friends again, and I am having a hard time saying no, even though it's not just that she was with him, it was the principle of it. I miss her so much. I think she's a good person but the abuse she suffered fucked her up. I think in her mind going back to him was her only choice. Despite all of it, she was my person. I've been so lonely without her, and there's a massive hole in my life. I've started to resent Angela for it. I don't even see her much, and I think if it weren't for her, space would have been all Sarah and I needed. Well, last night I got drunk and called Sarah. I cried and told her how much I love and miss her and that I don't know what to do. Then I invited her over. We talked for hours and I was so happy. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to say to Angela. I can't not tell her, that would be shitty, but I don't know how to tell her. I don't know what all of this says about me. Do I tell Sarah it was just a drunk mistake? Do I try and justify it to Angela? Is it justifiable? AITA for how I confronted my ex-friend. I, 23M, met a friend, 27M, When I moved to a new city at work a little over a couple years ago, quickly one of my closest friends ever. Down the line I told him about my abandonment fear from a previous friendship and he went through a breakup, said he cheated on her multiple times, but had grown, it got tricky. I tried to be there, threw him a b-day party since he was alone the year before, but it became one-sided. He told me he was moving in 6 months and cut me off after a year, we fought and then he blocked me. 1.5 months before moving, week after my b-day, we reconnected when he was struggling with management, we both did, but his persisted. We rekindled and talked about my anxiety and his avoidance. He apologized for being a shitty person and I comforted him. It went back to how it was before. I let things slide. He said he feels nobody likes him and how he has a lot of friends back home. Stuff had expressed before, made derogatory comments about my friend he slept with, said he was done dirty by our management, often said he should be paid less than me, and had fallen out with others. After all this, I was one of few if not the only close friend he had here. I was the one who spent all day helping him move out. Fast forward a couple months and we're on FaceTime and he's telling me about his ex from 6th grade, who was in a relationship of 10 years, and he flew across the country to sleep with her. He stayed with his friend who didn't know about this and was telling me about what she told her boyfriend to cover him and how she caught feelings. I was caught off guard, called him a homewrecker, he told me fuck you and that he's just like my friend Molly's boyfriend, who he knows nothing about. Also told me about how our friend Holly, who's in a relationship, has been getting at him. Ended the call saying love you like always. At my wit's end, I texted him the next day saying he's hurting everyone involved with that situation including himself, and that he is and deserves better and I want to talk to him. Week goes by, I am panicking and realize he removed me from his IG stories, and I text him I am morally conflicted and I'm just removing him from IG for myself until we can talk. Over the next couple weeks, I am thinking our friendship might be over, so I add over multiple texts that I don't appreciate the way he speaks of my friends, feel like his ego is impacting our friendship, he should talk to someone about his interpersonal behavior because I don't want him to feel how he's expressed, I am hurt by the lack of response, etc. I piled on pressure when he needed space, at the time I didn't know what to do. 6 months later no responses, I've thought about it every day. I also learned he was trying to slide into Molly's DMs when she was going through a breakup, and he had been trying to fly Holly out to see him. I am devastated, I'd do anything for him, but I don't live near him and this seems difficult to fix. AITA for writing my sister a letter. About 2 years ago, my sister offered my then boyfriend a job in her office. My boyfriend, let's call him Ben, accepted the job but struggled with my sister's managerial style. For context, Ben has a diagnosis of autism so finds it difficult to deal with ambiguous requests. Over time, the difficulties created tension between Ben and my sister. My sister invited me to a spa evening and when we were supposedly relaxing, she launched into all the things that Ben did or didn't do that annoyed her, stating that Ben made her feel like a bad manager. I tried to explain that managing someone with autism was different from managing someone who is neurological, but she kept saying that he should know how to behave and what she wanted. I gave up trying to explain, but the upshot was that she ended his contract early, in quite a horrible way, and then gave her daughter the job. I wrote her a letter expressing how angry I was with her and that her actions were borderline illegal given employment law in the UK. I admit that I should have spoken to her about this, but I didn't, I was too angry and didn't trust myself not to explode. So, now we haven't spoken in 2 years and she has rejected my requests to talk about it. So, AITA and what should I do about this situation? AITA for expecting an invitation to a dinner with my BF and his friends? Hey everyone, I really would like some advice. For background before I put the rest of the info, we have been dating for about 1 year and 9/10 of a month. So basically 2 years, and we have yet to meet any friends or family from either side. I try to initiate it a lot, but he has always been busy or at work whenever I invited him out to meet my friends. As for the family part, I have invited him to a few things but ultimately he was not able to make it. We are trying to plan for him to come meet my family within this month or next though. Today, my BF said he was going to go out to a dinner with his friends. I told him that it sounded like a good and fun idea and asked him who he is going with. He said it was mainly his guy group of friends and that it was going to be a little get-together at a restaurant nearby after his shift, and that was all that was said to me. I was thinking he would have invited me, but when I heard it was with his guy friends, I didn't say anything since I know he needs that time with them and hadn't seen them in a while, so I thought maybe that wasn't the best time to initiate a meet and greet. He then texted me after his shift and said he was on the way to the restaurant. He texted me the entire time he was there and then called me right when he got out. I then learned that it was his guy friends and 4 to 5 girlfriends as well, friends that are girls. I didn't say anything, but I was a little hurt over the fact that there were also women friends there and I didn't get an invite. I felt it would have been an appropriate time and place to meet everyone since it wasn't just his guy friends but a group instead. AITA for being upset that he did not invite me. A part of me feels bad for being upset over that situation, but another part of me feels that it's alright since we've been together for so long and he still hasn't initiated this even though we have had this conversation 5-6 times in the past and he always says he would like to get things headed towards that direction. Please let me know. I don't know if I want to bring this up to him or if I should let it go. AITA for causing drama in a friend group. I, 20NB, am in an RP group and drama has sparked. 2 members, Joseph, 19M, and Adriana, 19F, recently broke up. Due to compatibility issues, they only dated for 6 weeks. I have known Joseph and Adriana for the same amount of time. Joseph has known the rest of the members since childhood, and Adriana works with me. Adriana sent me screenshots of the breakup, over text, while it happened. She said something mean about him, but I wanted to remain neutral. I said, hey, you can feel that way, but Joseph is my friend. That's when she told me Joseph had been talking shit about the group. This information was given to me 3 weeks ago. 2 days ago, I was at work with Adriana when she brought up Joseph. I decided to ask what he had said. I won't go into too much detail, but it involved shit-talking insecurities, hobbies and divulging into traumas of other members. I was shocked, so I texted the DM, Ezra, 18M, about what she told me. I told her afterward, and she said it was good since she didn't want toxicity in the group. Ezra texted me back and told me he would talk to Joseph. I told Adriana, and she told me to tell Ezra not to speak to Joseph. I said it would eventually blow up anyway. After work, I got a text from Joseph. He asked if Adriana had told me all of those things. I said yes. He asked if I believed her. I said I did, but I wanted to hear his side. He revealed some more information. Adriana had made fun of my body. He claimed that Adriana was the one who said all of those things about me. I was so confused. I didn't know who to trust. The things he was telling me were adding up. Then, Joseph asked if she said anything about him. Now, I have anxiety. Lying hurts me physically. I told him Adriana told me personal details about their relationship. Joseph got pissed and proceeded to text her. Adriana got mad at me for telling him, but she told me she would tell Joseph all that to his face in past conversations. When I texted her that I was going to bed, Joseph got mad at me for texting her. Ezra told Joseph not to text me since she and I work together. Yesterday, I woke up to Adriana being kicked from the chat. She texted me and asked if I thought she was lying. I told her I didn't know who to believe and didn't want to be put in the middle of this anymore. Adriana then told me she had proof of what Joseph said. I have not seen this proof, but she showed it to Ezra and told me it adds up. Ezra told me Adriana and Joseph would meet up with him to discuss who was in the wrong. She later texted me to say she didn't expect to feel betrayed by me because I told Ezra what Joseph had said to her. I told her I didn't know who to trust and wanted to keep an arm's distance from her and Joseph since the situation stressed me out. Adriana told me she wouldn't forget this. I feel I am in the wrong. I should have kept this situation to myself, but I knew this would spill out. I didn't think it would be at this caliber. I want to know, AITA? AITA for turning against my family and friends. I, 18F, have a complicated family. My parents are pessimists due to their religious beliefs. They believe the world would end anytime soon. On 2014, the church announced that it would be the last memorial. Hearing this, my mother panicked. She invited members of the family to attend this memorial. She bought loads of food and water supply, making the house ready for survival. The next few years, she forced me to get baptized at this religion, said we were in the last days and that the Great Tribulation would come. So I did get baptized, and that was the biggest mistake I've ever done. This religion does not celebrate traditional holidays such as Christmas, Valentine's, etc. as they believe these are pagan traditions. They too do not celebrate birthdays. Being in this religion was suffocating, especially how my mother and father introduces them to me. They have an app, and every day there was a scripture to contemplate on. They call this daily text. Every single day, they would ask me if I had read the text, questioning my takeaways or thoughts. If I missed a day, it was like I had committed the most unforgivable sin. They would tell me that I had more time for Satan than for God, scolding me repeatedly. During church, they have this question and answer part for a whole hour. My mother expects me to participate in this. If I didn't, she'd scold me. They also have this preaching campaign, where members of the church spread the good news. They'd go house to house, door to door, knocking and looking for interested ones. In some circumstances, we stand in the public and have magazines and brochures displayed. She'd tell me to participate, but the only thing I could do was give her excuses, like abdominal cramping, stomach ache, headache, if I didn't want to go. As I grew older, I felt left out. My mother was very strict with her rules. I could only wander around the perimeter, but not beyond the gates. I couldn't go out with my friends, as she despises outsiders. I couldn't have sleepovers, even if it was a cousin's house. I could only long for freedom. I locked myself in my room every day, not because I was sad, but because it was my comfort. I didn't like seeing people anymore. I started drinking and smoking, as it was comforting me. The urge to live drifts day by day, because I have accepted the fact that things will never change, that I could never have freedom. One day, I thought, why be sad, when you can choose how to live your life? So I started going out more, asking for permission to go on other properties, but instead going 5 more kilometers from the property, swimming in the ocean with my cousins. Sometime later, this led to my rebellion, and my family had decided to put me in a mental health facility. My trusted uncle had tricked me on going to a doctor appointment. He brought me to a mental hospital, and I had been there for 7 months. I hold grudges and resentments of them till this day, and I left them for good. AITA for not building my friend's gift for me last Christmas and for telling her I still haven't built it till this day. For context, I've been living in a small little shack behind my family member's house. Over the past year and a half, I have not been living my parents due to my house being totally remodeled from the ground up. Due to my current living situation, anything I buy or receive I tend to save away until I get to safely display them in my house once it's completed. Last Christmas, my friend, 20F, Stacy, one of my longtime friends, gave me 20M, a gift for Christmas. It was buildable model sets of R2-D2 and Boba Fett's helmet from Star Wars. She knew that I loved Legos and Star Wars, so this gift was a perfect fit. While they weren't Legos specifically, they're still pretty close, and honestly I was really happy to get such great gifts from her. Today I was on a phone call with Stacy and was just catching up. Her birthday is right around the corner, and I was telling her how I got her a present and how I hope she likes it. Since we were on the topic, she asked about the presents she gave me last year. Stacy asked me, have you built the presents I gave you last year? And I responded, no, I haven't, because I don't have the space for it and I am afraid of it breaking once I finally start to move into my house. The way I said it, the best way I can describe it, as sassy and frustrated. Not because of her, but because of my housing situation. She then hung up on me. I tried calling her back a few times as I thought it was just a connection issue, but after the 3rd time, I realized I had messed up by saying that. I texted her and apologized and tried to explain as best as I can that I didn't mean for my comments and actions to be as hurtful and rude as it was. I realized I was being disrespectful of her by saying that, but I didn't mean for it to come off that way. Stacy has been one of my best friends for almost the past decade. We've been through so much together. There was even a time when we didn't talk for years, but I was so glad that she and I were able to make up and be so close. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose her friendship because she means so much to me. So am I the asshole? And if I am, how can I fix things with Stacy? AITA for pointing out how unpleasant my SIL has been since she came out. So I, 36NB, have a sister-in-law, 48F, who I'll call A. We've been pretty close until yesterday when I called her out on her behavior. I sent her a message asking how she was, and she called me to update me as to how things have been, and the conversation turned to me. I explained a problem I have, and she said how I needed to find someone I could trust implicitly to chat to who could help me with my mental health problems, ideally a close friend. My partner has a list of things he's currently working through and has to live with me. I don't want to add more on to him. She suggested C, 44 meters. I told her that while C is great to talk to, he's been constantly trying to get into my pants for the last few years. I said that that's because I constantly flirt with him. I've been in a happy relationship for the last 15 years. I absolutely do not flirt with him, and that's why I keep getting unwanted sexual attention. She went on to say that I flirt relentlessly with every man I meet and it's probably why I got attacked several years ago. She also said that my daughter was headed for the same pattern, at which point I, dumbfounded, hung up the phone. I messaged her later that day, after a long chat with my partner about what to say, and let her know that I was disgusted with what she said to me, and since she came out, she's trans, and discovered her truth, she's turned into a bit of a bitch. This behavior literally started within a week of her coming out. She talks down to people if they have a problem and pins their problems on them, even if they're not caused by them and are caused by external stressors, psychoanalyzing everyone. Like she's got a degree, accusing people of being transphobic if they don't agree with an opinion of hers. She's done that to my partner, twice. He no longer contacts her, and is just generally being unpleasant to be around as she judges everything you do. Literally from the way I sit to the way I wear my jeans. She also judged my daughter for the way she holds her pen. My kid is 9 and holds a pen just fine. She messaged me back saying I'm transphobic. I'm absolutely not. I'm non-binary and my closest friend is trans. Unfortunately, I can't go to her for help as she has her own issues and I don't want to add to them, and how hateful I am. AITA for telling her how unpleasant she's been since she came out. Edit to add. I've had a couple of people point out that my wording is off and I sincerely apologize for that. I'm not transphobic at all and didn't tell her off because of being trans. I would never in a million years, but I told her off because a pattern has been noticed by multiple people of how her behavior changed around a week after she came out. My apologies if I came across as transphobic, that isn't me and wasn't my intention. AITA for violating my partner's privacy. We were out one night at the bars, it was a weeknight, I couldn't stay out late so I went home early. I am not a jealous person, but I was getting bad vibes from one of their friends. I rolled by their house the next morning on my way to work and saw their friend's Subaru in the driveway. This started a fight which ended the relationship. I wish I barged in, I will never know if anything actually happened. Edit. I basically lived at their place for a year but we maintained separate residences. I tried to ask them about it but they got angry, said nothing happened and didn't want to discuss it. Edit. If evidence matters, there has been enough flirting and literal ass grabs happening between them for the entire time we were together. I never said anything and discounted it. This friend was recently single and trying to smash anything that moves. The night in question, when they weren't together, I could see them scanning the room looking around for my partner. AITA for not helping my boyfriend pay for his studies. I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 2 years, though we've been friends for about 5 years prior. Currently, I work, but my income isn't substantial. Despite that, I've managed to save up a decent amount for my own future studies, etc. The issue is that my boyfriend is currently unemployed and struggling to pay for his education, along with other financial difficulties. He has tried to secure loans from various online lenders but has been denied due to his inability to repay them. His parents don't help him at all and have caused him many difficulties, including financial problems and debts. While I understand that his family situation is challenging, I still feel unsure about taking on this responsibility. I truly feel for him and want to help, but I am conflicted. Here's my reasoning on why I may be the asshole. 1. My boyfriend has frequently claimed and bragged my family and friends that getting a job is easy for him, yet he hasn't taken any significant steps to actually secure employment. It's not my first rodeo with his ego. He is always the I am superior type of man, yet he's drowning. 2. While I don't have evidence of him cheating, I've discovered through mutual friends that he has been secretly in contact with a girl he cheated on his previous girlfriend with. I've confronted him about it, and he blocked her, all right, but something's still off. 3. We've had ongoing issues with him lying or hiding things from me to avoid being perceived as the bad guy. This has caused a lot of distrust in our relationship. 4. There was a time where he went no contact with me for almost a month because he felt I wasn't grateful enough for him buying me flowers. I posted about it online, sent him thank you messages, and made sure to take care of the flowers, which lasted almost a month. I genuinely don't understand why this caused such a reaction. I am saving up for my own education and feel that he could have waited until he secured the funds himself before pursuing his studies. I've worked hard to save this money, and I am hesitant to give it up for his situation. Am I an asshole? AITA for voicing out my opinion regarding inadequacy. Hey. So, I am an AP, anxious preoccupied, who is in a group of friends of which some are DA, dismissive avoidant. So, recently due to many rifts I started voicing out my opinions saying that, I feel like I am being more present for PPL than they are there for me. Like, baking cakes on birthdays for 2 to 3 ppl, running to get EpiPen during allergic attacks, being available to talk emotionally, and try to be always present for them when they need help with their work, big projects, assignment, etc. I am not stating this to show I have been a better FRND. These all happened over the course of 2 to 3 years, and I am opening up about it only now cause I feel inadequate. I have always done things even without them asking for it. I don't blame everyone, only some, but the others, whenever I try to talk to them about the issues, they just try to dismiss the issues saying, 1. You can't bring up past issues and expect us to answer now. Cause it's difficult for us to answer to you. 2. This is so bad that you actually say what you have done for us. I can't even imagine why would you emphasize in running blocks on end to get EpiPen as a big thing, says the other FRND, who actually was the one who hesitated to come with me to get EpiPen when this happened. 3. One friend always IDK friendship bombs me saying, I see Alexa, fake name, and you as equal and you are my best buds. Always says that, but always in any circumstances, arguments leaves me alone. She was the friend to whom I opened up about a lot, and about whom I know so much more than even friend Alexa. 4. On top of that, I am always the troublemaker for communicating any issues, and PPL who just move on from the issues are seen to be great friends. It's like all the DAWs are comfortable with each other, being on a surface level, they're comfortable FRND SHP. But I feel like I have invested too much and now I feel lost. It doesn't matter cause it's the end of uni, but just I hate myself for taking these wrong directions and always been available for people. Am I the asshole for voicing out my opinion that I feel inadequate in this FRND SHP and lost in this friendship? How to move on, what to do, I feel so fucking lost. P.S. Recommend me any books, or websites or podcasts for healing AP to secure style. AITA for 1. Voicing out my opinion 2. For saying things I have done for the past years, just to make my statement stronger that I have been there, not to show off cause, if it were the reason I CLD have done it the moment I was there for that person. I didn't do it once. AITA for not throwing a birthday party for my in-laws. So long story short, my birthday is next week and I decided to not invite my family, but instead have a quiet day with my baby girl at home. I love all my nieces and nephews and get along with my brothers-in-law and their wives, but whenever we have celebrated my birthday it all becomes about what I can provide for them. I don't mind cooking for them or buying food, but they insist the food I should buy is something I don't like, and through their behaviors it's often apparent they are more looking for a free meal and dessert rather than actually wanting to spend the day with me. I have never gotten a gift from them either, and when they are here it feels like I am hosting and babysitting for them, but there is no effort to do anything I like to do. I do love to cook with my nieces, so I made the suggestion that they can come to my house and I will make food with the kids, which would be something I enjoy and the kids always have fun too. Think heart-shaped pizzas with faces made from toppings or something, but I was turned down and advised they expect me to host a party instead, so I said no. They then messaged my husband that they want to surprise me and come still, trying to make my husband arrange the food and hosting they would like. My husband finally came out with it today and I said absolutely no way, I rather have nobody here than be stressed all day. Am I the a-hole? Also for clarification, I host them any other occasion like my daughter's birthday, Halloween, Christmas, my husband's birthday. I just don't want to do it on my birthday. AITA for telling my mom I am not coming home for Christmas. I, 22M, have had an overbearing mother, 57F, for my whole life. She's always nitpicked my life from my assignments and grades to where I was allowed to go to college. I went home recently from grad school to visit for Thanksgiving and take a break from school. While leaving, my mom begins to tell me that my haircut and facial hair are why I don't have a better job. I currently work part-time at an animal sanctuary for approximately 10 hours a week. My course load is beyond a full-time student after she encouraged me to do more to get done with school faster. I have struggled with my appearance for years and she knows this. My current haircut is a modern mullet style and somewhat shaggy but not unkempt. My beard is maybe an inch or two long, but again I comb and treat it. I like my current looks and it makes me happy. I know that she will bring the topic of my looks up if I go home and ask me to get a more normal haircut and shave my face. I know she wants what she sees as best for me, but as an adult I am going to make my own choices. AITA for cutting ties with a friend. BC of DVAITA for cutting all ties with a longtime friend because she keeps going back to her abusive boyfriend. She has been with this man off and on for 2 years. He's an alcoholic and he gets violent and he abuses her physically and mentally. She kicks him out and has a restraining order against him. He apologizes and brings her flowers and she forgives him until the next time. Her kids have cut all communication with her. She would call me and I would tell her that she needs to be strong and not let him back in her life. She started seeing another man who treated her like a queen. She was seeing him for about 2 months and then she broke it off because he was boring. She told me that she was done with the abuser. She swore up and amped down he was out of her life for good. One thing about me is I hate being lied to. I told her that this has been going on for 2 years now and if she takes him back again then we can't be friends anymore. She swore to me that she was never taking him back, she was done with him. I heard from another friend that she let him move back in because he had no other place to go. They were just roommates. She slipped up when we were talking and mentioned that she can't sleep in the same bed with him if he continues to snore. What? She knew she was caught so she came clean and amped, said that they were back together and amped, he changed. He was so attentive and sweet. 2 weeks later a friend told me that she sent her pictures of her face where he abused her again. I told her that I was sorry but I can't continue this friendship anymore because of the lies and secrets. I can't stand by and find out one day he took it too far. AITA for not being a good friend? AITA for telling my mom she'll regret picking her husband over her children. I, 23F, and my husband, 22M, moved in with my mom over the summer to help my mom with her bills and to help take care of my 3 younger siblings. The main reason for this move was because I did not want her to get back with her boyfriend that she had been dating on and off for the past 7 to 8 years. Not long after we moved in she starts talking to him again after repeatedly telling me she was never going to get back together with him. She then goes on to marry him and since then has taken on this mentality that she is his wife and has responsibilities towards him so she has to be with him 24/7. Which in turn meant to me and my siblings that we would see her less because he does not live with us. Ever since she got married she goes directly to him after work and the only time my siblings see her is in the mornings when she takes them to school. She's not even home during the weekends. Recently this past weekend me and her ended up arguing over text because my siblings miss their mom and wanted to see her. She then chooses to instead of coming to see her kids to call them and tell them that she is too busy to see them and that when she was there that all they did was play video games but now that she's with her husband they suddenly miss her and want to spend time with her. This made my siblings sad which naturally made me step in and tell her off. I told her she can't be serious right now and that obviously her children are going to miss her. That even though they might have a roof over their heads and food that doesn't mean they don't still need their mother's presence more than just a few minutes in the morning when they're going to school. I told her she can't seriously be picking a man that has literally shown he does not care about her over her children who do love her. She responded by telling me the same thing she told my siblings that when she was with us that my siblings didn't appreciate her and that they just spend their time playing games. I am like be so for real you're resenting them as if they're not literally children where's that energy with that man that has literally done nothing good for us. She's like oh so I am a bad mom, okay that's fine you'll regret your words one day. She then hangs up on me and refuses my calls and texts my sister telling her she's not going to talk to me. So I texted her and told her the one that's going to regret her words is you and you'll be sorry for picking a man over your children. The day you learn to not put a man on a pedestal is the day you'll get your blessings. It's a serious mental problem to be so attached to a man. That I love her but I know she's not okay by doing what she's doing. She's now no longer talking to me and only contacts my siblings. AITA or was this a reality check my mom needed? Edit. Since I didn't include their ages in the original post my siblings are 10M, 13M, and 15F. In case you're wondering my mom's age she's 40 and her new husband is about 50/60ths, I am not entirely sure his exact age. Their dad is 38. For those wondering where their dad is, he is still in the picture but he also has a new partner. He comes to visit them once or twice a week sometimes and buys them food and clothes. He is supposed to be giving my mom child support but he's not always very timely about it. I also want to acknowledge my mom does contribute financially to them still. The only issue is she is not here physically with them as often as she should be. AITA for telling the guidance counselor my classmate called me a slur? I, 17F, have a music class with 2 sophomore girls, both 15F, named Addison and Hazel, fake names. Addison is a sweetheart and I swear she hung the moon. She's super kind and very creative, which I get along with. Hazel is very preppy and popular in her grade. For background, I am bisexual and have been out for about 4 years now. Addison is also on the queer spectrum. Hazel is straight. Yesterday in class, we were tossing light-hearted insults back and forth, then mostly calling me old and me mostly calling them short. Hazel called me a dinosaur and I said, "Oh, I am sorry. I can't hear you from all the way down there," with a small laugh. Hazel immediately shot back, "Well, at least I am not a fucking F***GGOT. With zero hesitation. I was gobsmacked, of course, but simply stopped talking to her. After class 1 pulled her aside in the hall and said, I quote, "Hey, I understand some people are okay with being called that, but I personally have bad history with it. Please don't call me that again. I remember every word because I rehearsed it in my head all class." She said, "Oh, well, it's okay. I have the pass." I sorta scoffed and said, "Okay, who gave you the pass?" She said her best friend and I said, "Yeah, but I didn't. Please just don't call me that." She rolled her eyes and left. I wasn't going to really bring it up again. Being out for such a long time in the South, I've heard way worse. But after school, Addison sends me a text with a screenshot of a text from Hazel. This is the exact text word for word. This one girl got mad at me for saying F***GGOT and said not to say it, and I said nobody getting affected cause of it, and she said me and I said I got the pass, so what? It's just a word, and she who gave you the pass, and I said that my best friend, and she said I'm not IR best friend. Oh, I coulda said SM stuff, but I shut YP bouta piss me off ion like her, no ways to hell ID like her the day it'd be a cold snowy day in hell. I honestly got pissed off at her for the sheer audacity. So I got on her Instagram and Snapchat story and collected all the shit she has said about gay people and people of color. I emailed it all to my guidance counselor. Today she got mad at me because apparently she had to sit out at practice today and she has detention. I told her I didn't care and it was her fault for talking shit. AITA, AITAH, for letting my brother, who I've raised since he was an infant, call me mom. Apologies if I am not using this correctly. I have never used this app before, lol. I, 29F, have a very shitty home life. My mother died when I was 8 and my father has been horribly absent since then. I have 3 younger brothers, 26 meters, 22 meters and 17 meters, but this will be mainly about my 17-year-old brother. Once my mother died, I started raising my 2 younger brothers and did literally 95% of the work. The only thing my father did was give me money weekly for me to buy food and other necessities for us 3. When I was 13, my dad brought home my youngest brother, who was a few months old. I didn't know he existed, much less that my father was seeing someone. Me and my father had a horrible fight that night and we have rarely ever talked since then. Now, I 100% raised all 3 of my brothers. But with my eldest brother, let's call him Jake, he remembered a life before our mother died for the longest bit. He resented me his whole life, the classic "you're not my mom" shit, when he was junior high age. So I never viewed him in a son role and he most definitely never viewed me in a motherly role. With my middle brother, let's call him Sam, he was a baby when our mother died. As he grew up, he would occasionally call me mom, but I would shut it down mostly and remind him of our mother and that I am just sissy. He definitely viewed me more in a motherly role than Jake did, but he still viewed me as a sister. With my youngest brother, however, let's call him Henry. He 100% views me as a mom and I look at him as my son. I know I am not his mom, but I know absolutely nothing about her. I have her first and last name but cannot find anything about her anywhere. When he was young and started calling me mom, I would try to remind him that I am not his mom, I am his sister. But after a bit I just gave up. Now here's the issue at hand. I was on my break at work yesterday and I texted the group chat with my husband, 30 meters, daughter, 10F, and Henry, asking what they wanted for dinner and what they wanted picked up from the store. Henry texted, "Just some chips, thanks mom," and I thought nothing of it. Then my coworker, 24F, looked over my shoulder and found it very strange that my brother was calling me mom. I would say that me and this coworker are decent friends. We've gotten drinks a few times after work and I've talked to her a bit about my family life. I tried to explain to her yesterday our situation and how I've raised him since he was 3 months old, but she just didn't budge. She then went around our job telling others that my brother calls me mom. I really don't understand why this is an issue and why other coworkers are picking sides, but I would say 60% of the people she has told agree and think my brother calling me mom is strange, while the others just don't give a fuck, which, fair. I am just simply not understanding the issue to this, and I am genuinely wanting talks, opinions, lol. Apologies if this is all gambled and messy. It's currently 6 AM and I have just woken but had to get this off my mind. Thanks internet, AITA for telling my friend she shouldn't have chosen her sperm donor? My 30F friends, 32F and AMP 32F, are having their fourth baby. Let's call them Allison and Jenna. They have 3 daughters already, 10, 7, 5, that were birthed by Allison when she was married to her now ex-husband. They decided they wanted to have a fourth because Jenna would like to have another baby and carry the baby. They chose to do a sperm donor through a fertility clinic. It's one of those ones where you flip through a book and pick out the donor based on your chosen criteria, like height, hair color, hobbies, etc. The sperm donor they chose is a black man. Allison, Jenna and all 3 of their daughters are fully white. I told them that they made a mistake choosing that particular donor and should have chosen a white donor. I told them I feel as though they are doing a disservice to their future child. They will look different than all of their siblings and grow up completely away from any sort of black culture and have no black relatives. They told me I was being racist and that mixed babies are cute. My issue isn't with mixed babies. My issue is that 2 white women chose to have a mixed baby knowing what obstacles she will face and that neither of them will be able to relate to her. Yes, I know they face discrimination as lesbians, but I don't think that's the same as what black people deal with. Am I the asshole for telling her she should have chosen a different sperm donor? AITA for throwing out my flatmate's rice cooker and clearing out her part of the fridge after she left the country to go home for Christmas? Me and my flatmates are all uni freshers. Me, 18, Madison, 18, Simon, 20, Robert, 22, and Liam, 19, all fake names by the way. One day, Madison PM'd me saying she didn't like how I talked to her in the flat group chat. I'm a very jokey person, so though I might have gone too far with my sarcasm, so I apologized straight away. She then didn't reply to my message and didn't come back to the flat for weeks. I got worried as her life 360 was off too. Simon messaged the group chat. Simon, yo guys, whose cooker is that? Picture of a mini rice cooker. Madison, mine, lol. Simon, inside is only just mold, haha, okay. Liam, crazy stuff. Madison, oh what? I gagged when I saw the picture as I remember sitting in the kitchen with her as she cooked that rice. Last month, I took another picture of the rice to send to chat, adding that her avocados also went mold and that I threw them out. She didn't reply. The next day I reminded her to throw the rice away, it was making the kitchen stink. She responded, has anyone seen my pot? I PM'd her twice reminding her, no reply. I finally caught her at 4 a.m. in the kitchen with her friends. I apologized again to her in person and reminded her to throw away her rice. She told me it was okay and said she would. She didn't, it was there for another few days. I triple bagged the rice cooker and left it by the bin, sharing a picture in the chat. Madison, please throw your rice away. Madison, I am not even there y'all, and I lost my pan. She left to go back home for Christmas break in Thailand. Me. Madison, I told you multiple times to please throw that away. It's a health hazard. Madison. Bruh, just put it where the vacuum is. Me. No, it'll heat up and grow more mold. Madison. Nah, there's a lid. Me. It'll attract bugs and rats. Liam. I threw that shit in the bin fr. Was nasty. When she left for Christmas, she didn't clean her fridge section. I threw away food that was going to expire over the holiday, open sauce packets leaking on the shelf, curdled milk, cookies, eggs, and vegetables pooling water. My flatmates said her side of the shared fridge was filthy for weeks. I messaged the chat with what I'd done. Madison. K. I sent her a video of me clean up. She complained I was disrespecting her space, claiming the sauces were still fine to eat and expensive. She accused me of nagging and said I should NT touch her side of the fridge area since I don't use it. I share a mini fridge with Robert. She also said the sauces were expensive. I kinda feel bad for clearing her stuff out, especially as she was having personal problems in her life and was trying to heal. And I did call her a bad word on the group chat after her K responses. But it was going to expire over the holidays, and as I'm staying in the flat during Christmas, I don't really want to smell that. So, am I the hole? AITA for telling my daughter's father that I will not be doing a quinceanera for her. Background. I am 35, F, and have a 13, F, daughter who wants a quinceanera and I am not comfortable spending that much money on one event. I am a Hispanic woman who was born in the US, so I am not a traditional Mexican and my kids are Americanized. Here's where the issue comes. My daughter's father, 36, who lives with his mom, pays nothing in child support because he's in debt, owes IRS credit card debt. I pay everything for my daughter, school activities, sports, hobbies, clothes, trips, you name it, I pay. I don't ask her dad because he's already paying child support for another son he has with an ex. I am fortunate that my fiancé and I make a good income and can afford to be debt-free by choosing to make wise money decisions. I have a full-time job, do contract work on the side, and part-time master's student at my local university, debt-free. My ex approached me when I dropped off my daughter and said that our daughter wants a quince and she wants a party where all her family is in one place. I told him I wasn't doing a quince but I'd throw a party in our backyard and he was invited. Our house is nice and our backyard was done a few years ago and is big. The other day he said that his cousin had a baby shower at a ranch style and that it's $3,000 for the venue for 250 people. On the phone I freaked because I have a lot on my plate and know how much work it takes to plan an event with a lot of people. He said his family is easily 100 people. I have a lot of family too, but I was only planning on only inviting close family and friends. When I tell him, no, this is not a quinceanera but a party with food and DJ with tops 100 people, he tell me that I'm starting to really disappoint him, and I tell him that I have a lot going on and that I can't plan something that big with all the stuff I already do and that I don't want to spend a lot of money. Quinceaneras are a lot when you think of the dress, dolls, waltz, damas, band and etc. They're time consuming and a lot of money goes into them. He gave me $200 the other day and was planning to give me $100 each payday. He's never given me that much money for her since we separated when she was 1. I have final exams this week and I haven't been able to sleep for 2 nights thinking of all the stress this is causing me. Should I give him his money back and tell him that we should each do what we can for her on our own? He causes me stress and I swear talking to him is pointless because he makes me feel like I am the bad person. Update. I was always planning to throw her a party. Not a lavish one but something nice in our backyard, which I told her dad that he was more than welcome to attend. AITA for not letting my kids visit their grandparents. AITA for not allowing my kids to see their grandparents for Christmas break? Hello, everyone. I posted on here a couple of months ago after my ex's wife staged a religious intervention when my son decided he wanted to embrace Judaism and be bar mitzvahed. Post is still under my profile if anyone wants specifics. My ex and I share 3 children, Amy, 18, Tom, 16 and Ben, 15. The people responding to that first post helped me to see that I was underreacting and I met with a lawyer for a custody order as we had just done our own thing. I now have full decision making for our children's religious upbringing and full custody. X has visitation every other weekend. I have been incredibly flexible and let him take them pretty much whenever he or the kids want. On his weekend I stay with my parents and he stays in the house. Only rule I made was the stepmother is not around them at all. Ever. My kids are very close with their paternal grandparents. GPs know that stepmother is not to be around them, but twice when I picked them up she was there. Excuse was that she had just popped in quickly to drop off the baby. I asked them to let me know when they were sitting and we would plan a different day, but they said that it was a last-minute thing. Okay, fine. They want them to come for a 5-day visit over Christmas break, not 24/25, and I cannot trust that this woman will not come over. Ben still gets incredibly anxious with her. Yes, he is in therapy. My in-laws refuse to tell her that she cannot come over because they say they do not want to be put in the middle, and that it's making them choose between their gran. I reached out to my ex, who said that since she isn't coming over for long he's not stopping it. He also said that there is nothing in the order that she can't be around, and as his wife and mom of their sibling there's no reason that she should have to tiptoe around. He was incredibly dismissive, and I went nuclear on him. I told him that I have been letting him see them whenever despite only having 2 weekends a month, that he was married to a sociopathic zealot and that if she continued to come around I would go back to court and ask for supervised visits and a restraining order against her. He hung up. Then I asked the kids what they wanted. Come to find out the woman has been coming around a lot. Amy said their grandparents asked them not to say anything to not upset me. I told my daughter that as an adult she can go but that her brothers would not be. Ben's look of relief broke my heart. Amy said and she felt weird when Step showed up. Tom said he's with Ben called XMIL told her that the children not be coming back until they chose to. I said they were welcome to come over to see them. I said they were so wrong to ask the kids to keep secrets. They called my ex, who berated me for punishing his parents. Stepmom sent me a text saying I was unfair. I think I'm right, but everyone else thinks I'm tall. Am I? AITA for coming out in the family group chat, and pressuring my younger brother to come out after my sister said something awful. I, 20M, am gay and have known for a while, but until recently, I only came out to friends. My family is a mixed bag, some are supportive, some are not, and most just try to avoid controversial topics. My younger brother JYE, 18M, is quiet and reserved, but we've always been close. A few days ago, I decided it was time to come out to my extended family. I figured the family group chat was the easiest way to avoid having a million awkward individual conversations. I sent a simple message: "Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know I am gay. It's not a big deal, but I wanted to be honest with you all." Most responses were positive. My cousin, 25F, sent a heart emoji. My grandma said, "We love you no matter what," and my dad sent his signature, but then things took a turn. My Aunt Sue replied, "I just don't get why this needed to be shared. Some things should stay private." My uncle said, "As long as you don't push it on us, we're fine with it." And then my sister Anne, 22F, who's married to a guy who's homophobic, added, "Just don't be gay around my kids. They're too young to understand all that." I was taken aback by what I was reading. I replied, "Wow Anne, do your kids need to understand you being straight, or is that just reserved for me?" She doubled down, saying it's just confusing for kids. I am trying to protect them. I would hate for them to turn out like you. My aunt backed her up, saying she has a point, kids don't need to be exposed to everything. I replied, "Well, maybe you should have kept your legs closed if you can't support your children." This is where things took a turn. My mom claimed what I said to be out of pocket and shaming. My sister freaked out and said that I was hoe shaming and that I need to go to the psych ward. That's when JYE, who had been silent, suddenly sent this message: "I am gay too. So maybe think about how your words are hurting both of us." Cue absolute chaos. Aunt Sue freaked out, saying, "What is happening to this family?" My sister accused me of forcing JYE to come out and said, "You're making everyone uncomfortable. He only said that because you pressured him." I snapped and replied, "Or maybe JYE felt brave enough to be himself after hearing your disgusting comments. God forbid your kids grow up in a world where people are treated equally." My sister went ballistic, saying, "Don't you dare bring my kids into this. You're trying to tear this family apart." JYE left the chat entirely. My mom sent me a text saying, "This isn't the way to handle this," and my dad tried to check on JYE, but he hasn't replied to anyone since. Meanwhile, my grandma sent a long message about how family should stick together. Now my mom says I should apologize for escalating things, and Anne is mad, accusing me of ruining her life. I feel bad that JYE came out in such a heated moment, but I didn't force him to say anything. Did I go too far? AITLH. My kid wants me to drive 3 hours a day taking them to, from work. I said